On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick return for another deep dive into the world of AHSOKA, starting with a narcissistic celebration over how spot on their predictions have been so far. They'll then learn you on episode 4 and what is really going on with AHSOKA during its closing moments, because you all are reaching and fan-writing some wild theories. After AHSOKA 101, they'll move the show into their episode 5 pregame preview and prediction segment. They even have a juicy young AHSOKA rumor to chew on. Of course, the show will end with the question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 Star Wars adaptations. Punch it, Chewie. Hey now, everybody! Welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. Yes, I know we were talking without the mics on. That was on purpose. Nick was finishing a story, and I am not rude. I'm only rude to him when we're broadcasting the show. That's when I cut him off. Not beforehand, when we're having our pregame. I let him get his thoughts out. But once we get going, it's time for me to dominate the mics like some of you accuse me of doing. But hey, welcome back, friends. We are here. We are ready to party for AHSOKA S1E5 tonight. But before we do that, obviously, we'll give you the full gamut of an episode of the SWTS, just in case there's any noobs around here. If there are some noobs, you know what to do. Let's hit that sub, like, share, comment, and do it again, everybody. You know, I know all you fandos are always like, yeah, we're here to help you. And every week, I look at my videos and maybe one or two of you leave a comment. So, you're liars! You're a bunch of ne'er-do-wells. You blow hot air up our asses. Let's go. Take the 2 seconds, leave a comment, all right? Don't bullshit me. You guys know who you are, you gals. You're in the Discord. I see who interacts in the spoiler channel in between shows, which if you want to join in and talk AHSOKA with myself, because I know if you listen to last week's broadcast, the predictions coming out of my pie hole were amazing. So I understand why you may want to mingle with me in between show times. Your best way to do that is through Discord. Find the link, Instagram at StarWarsTime.show. But all you motherfuckers in there, I know you're looking at stuff. Click those damn video links and take the 2 seconds to leave a comment. Because all you do is reinforce that I am a useless windbag who is wasting his time doing this shit on a weekly basis. All right? Thank you. All right, Nick. So before we get into that stuff, do a little pop culture talk. Got my fat ass out to the movies last week. Yes, I'm still wearing the sling, but I had a good update. I actually, the only reason I'm wearing the sling right now is because I had it off all day today. That's right, friends. Contrary to my pessimistic being, I got a good report last week from the doc. He's like, dude, you're fucking Wolverine. I was like, I know. Mm-hmm. I'm short, not that fat anymore. I'm hairy. Don't have that, the nice hair, but he's like, your bone is healing faster than normal. I said, hey, what a novel thing. Someone that eats well, exercises, mostly takes care of himself, his body responds well to injury. Isn't that fucking crazy, Nick? It's so weird. It's like, if you treat your body well, it actually can do some pretty amazing things. So the shitty part is I'll be out of the sling by tomorrow. But nice. I'm not allowed to lift anything over a pound for 6 more weeks. and I can't lift my elbow above my shoulder, which I've already fucked up over the weekend playing cards with the neighbors and cheering and forgetting that I'm not allowed to do that. So
did you get a little shock of pain when you did that, or was it all okay?
It was a little bit more than little. Yeah, it was fuck. I emailed my doctor Saturday morning, like, dude, this is what happened. What do you think? And he said, listen, if it hurts really bad on Monday, yeah, come back in. Let's see if you unfused some of that wet bone. But luckily, my wet bone is still intact. So. Yeah, it's fun, but the thought of 6 more weeks of essentially being an invalid and not being able to get back to any sort of real rehab, not ideal, but I guess getting out of the sling is a win. So, yeah, glass half full, guys. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, hey,
sweet.
It's positive. It could have been that you had to stay in the sling longer. I mean,
right, yeah.
A win is a win. It's definitely take it that way.
I wish I could feel that way, but I'm still sitting here like, motherfucking son of a bitch! I should be playing golf this week, working out. My left tit, Nick, has turned into like a bag of meat. Like there's still some there's still muscle in there, but it's all like mushy. And it's like I have a real female breast right now. So if anyone wants to come over here and cup some, I'd say I'm upwards towards a B or C. Maybe chew on my nipple a little bit. I've got a perfect female breast right now on the left side of my body. All right. Woo. Okay. So that's good shit. But like I said, before we get into AHSOKA time, because it's going to be fun, because, you know, a lot of you, Nick doesn't partake in the festivities post-show. He's very serious. He likes to wait the day of, take his notes.
I would say most of the time I wait till day of.
I forced him. I was like,
yeah.
Dude, you might want to just peek into this one, and some of the things you've been speaking are coming to fruition in terms of Lucasfilm deciding to release an episode in theaters to generate more buzz. So, yeah, Nick's the man. But I'm like, you might want to watch this one before Tuesday. But like I said, usually, you know, Nick kind of stays away from the Discord. We get in there and we play around. We have some fun. We shoot the shit. We lay down theories. And it was great. Like last week, man, I know we're not supposed to be doing this, but it finally felt good to be in the Star Wars universe again. It was like, holy shit. Where is this universal praise and buzz and good feelings been from all you angry motherfuckers? Because I can assure you, the Star Wars before AHSOKA has not been as bad as most of you make it out to be, and you want to stab your eyes out and kill your firstborn and jump off a bridge, all that shit. But the AHSOKA Episode 4 it was magical, okay? And it's going to lead into an even more magical episode in moments for fans tonight with Episode 5. But it was nice to finally watch a Star Wars and it just feel like, wow, isn't this refreshing to actually be on the internet and read posts and interact with people, and everyone is happy about Star Wars again. It felt nice, but we'll dive into that more once we do our breakdown. Before we get to that, though, I got to talk about the movie I watched last week. I don't know if there's any Equalizer fans out there. I'm talking OG Equalizer, Denzel, McCall, right? Not, what's her name, Queen Latifah, doing the plus size version. You know, good for her, but let's be real. And hey, Denzel doing what he does in these movies at his advanced age and larger gut is also silly, but who cares? It's movies, it's fun. So I checked out Equalizer 3, and it's fantastic. It's like my type of just gory, beat the shit out of people, payback type of movie. You know, like you fuck with something I love, I'm going to fucking destroy you, your family, your kids, your pets, that type of shit, Nick. You know what I mean? Like the opening scene, and this isn't really a spoiler, but it's just walking through this. It's just chaos, like a murder scene. You got cleavers sticking out of people's skulls. You've got shotguns and eye holes being blown off. It's everything a demented person could ever want. Plus, you know, a little Denzel, a little mafioso action taking place in the mother country, Italy. It's just really good. It could be the best Equalizer, if you will allow me to say that. I will say the only thing they probably could have cut out, there's like a whole subplot with an agent Dakota Fanning plays, and it's like, all right, I know you're trying to tie this into the franchise, like past characters the Equalizer has interacted with, but it was stupid. Just stick to Denzel fucking murdering people and that vigilante justice, and you have a winner every time. So I'm all for it.
Nice.
Oh yeah, look at this. Fucking our boy Gregu's in here. That's worth celebrating right here.
Greg hasn't been around in a bit, but happy to see him back.
Yeah, you gotta love the Greg, man. It does. It feels like a real Star Wars time. We got Connors in here, Jared, Linda, Gregu, J.O.D., B-Mad all kicking it off. We got 2 tips last week, Nick. I don't know what the fuck we're doing right. Maybe I should bitch and moan about it more. Pay us!
Well, thank you.
Here, I'm holding out
to those of you.
I'm holding out my tin cup. Come on. Pay me. Pay me.
Thank you to those of you who tipped.
You know what else I watched? This is real quick. They Clone Tyrone with John Boyega.
I've heard that that's pretty good.
It ain't bad. It's kind of neat. It's definitely different. Definitely sci-fi, but with a different flair to it. So
nice. Yeah, I haven't checked that out. I was telling Matt earlier that I was actually over in his neck of the woods this past weekend. He lives near Columbus, but I was in Cleveland for a wedding, so no real pop culture updates from me other than if you are a fan of like fantasy type of stuff a la Lord of the Rings, I would definitely recommend watching Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime Video. Season 2 is out now, 4 episodes in. They actually did a 3-episode drop initially, so episode 4 is the second release. If you haven't seen season 1, go back and watch it. Season 2 is cutting up to be excellent. Really good fantasy series. If you're a fan of the Robert Jordan books out there, my girlfriend Taylor has read all 14 or 15 of them, and she's a big fan of the series. So that's kind of like my pop cultural recommendation for the week. Other than that, it was basically just me watching the Saints football game on my phone while I was in Cleveland, because the only thing that you could watch there obviously was the Browns versus the Bengals game that was happening. So so Wheel of Time, check it out if you are a big fan of fantasy.
And that's not, they don't do full dumps there, right? Like it's 1 a week.
Yeah, so other than the initial 3-episode drop, it is going to be an episode per week release.
No, that's definitely on the list. Another one I haven't caught up to is I know Star Trek Strange New Worlds dropped a new season, and that's complete, so that will be bingeable once I get through the Foundation season 2, which continues to be kick-ass. Lee Pace really is just like a human, all right? You know, I'm not into that persuasion, but if I was, Lee Pace is a guy I would have posters of in my room. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
His chest, dude, is like the size of his pecs are like the size of my head. Like, I don't even know how you do that. They're just, he has like the widest chest back I've ever seen. Plus, he's good at what he does. He plays Empire, who's like an emperor that has cloned himself over and over and over through centuries. And he's just like a petulant child, but Lee just fucking nails that. Just
oh, Lee. Okay, I was like
you
trying to figure out.
Pace,
I know the name.
He's Thranduil, right?
Yeah,
King
exactly.
Thranduil.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh,
so yeah, that's where I know him from.
Bango from the patrol car. He's looking for the Brazilian murderer in New York. That's right. I don't know if you've heard that, Nick. Have you heard that? Like,
no,
I don't know the full story. I don't know if he really escaped from Brazil or somewhere in New York, but this like Brazilian guy essentially Spider-Man'd himself up a wall out of the yard and has been on the lam for a few days now, just like breaking into people's homes, and it's fucking wild. So I know Bango's out in the I think the New York City area. So I'm assuming he's got his, you know, the 5-0 wagons out. Manhunt style. I like it. Tuning in from the patrol car. Dig it.
Nice. Gregu says that he's either saying that I should go to New Zealand and do the Lord of the Rings tours, or that he's going to New Zealand and doing them. Either way, that is something awesome. That I want to do.
I really,
because they do still have Hobbiton all set up with the little Hobbit hole houses and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, fuck, dude. Just okay. So the dude was in jail in the States. Yeah. Okay. He stole a gun last night. It's nuts. Look it up, people. Like it's definitely a current event. It's kind of wild that one dude escaped a prison and no one can find him, and he's just terrorizing residents. So yay, America! Fuck yeah! Greg's going. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Greg, he can just take like a little dinghy over to New Zealand, right? I mean, or I still imagine it's probably a few hours flight. You know, when you look on a map, I never look at the key to see how far the little grids really are, but
I guess it depends on where in Australia Greg is located.
I thought he mentioned he was on the Gold Coast, but who knows? All right, okay. Yeah. All right, Bango, a PA guy. That's probably why I like him and why he is drawn to this show. Even though I never lived in Philadelphia, that's where my parents are from. To this day, I have people ask me if I'm from East Coast, in particular Philadelphia. I never got to Pittsburghese because, again, my parents weren't from there. So that's why you don't hear me the yins and that and downtown, Stillers, Pittsburgh. But apparently I sound like the East Coast, even though I've lived in the Midwest South for, 20 years at this point, which I'm fine. The people in the Midwest, Nick, I'm sure you heard it. It's as vanilla and boring as it gets on all fronts. The way they look, the way they talk, the way they dress. The Midwest is bullshit.
A little. All right. I will say that the nice part about being in Ohio for the time that we were there is that we got to escape the 100 plus degree weather.
Well,
and I was like, oh my God, I can walk outside during the afternoon and not feel like I'm going to die. It's great.
You picked the right weekend, because if it would have been Labor Day, you would have been like, fuck, I don't even feel like I left home, because we were clocking high 90s, getting up to 100. So. Yeah, I get you, Bango. I'll put that one up on the screen. He's right. There is a certain, I don't want to say, it's not even a chip on their shoulder, but people from the East Coast definitely are feisty. There's something to say for that. And, a lot of times people want to blame the way I am on my father. And yeah, I have a lot of poison from him. But after spending time with my mom down there in Hilton Head and seeing her deal with a customer service rep, I'm like, you know what? I actually think most of my like lunatic fringe, crazy temper shit comes from her. Because she was like, I'm going to go down there, kill people. I'm like, Jesus, Mom, chill out. We're on vacation. We'll get it taken care of. But that's how I am too. If you fuck me over, it's like I want to rip out your throat, even if it's over 50 cents. You're going to die. Like, you are going to pay for fucking me over. All right. That's right. Tyler's down here. He's a Midwest hater too. If people born in the Midwest, I get it. You might like it, but I'm sorry. I'm a transplant from PA, from Pittsburgh. And if you go look at my 8th grade yearbook, that's exactly how most of this world thinks about Ohio. And we're talking like 1993. Oh, you're going to be a hick. Oh, you're going to fuck goats. Oh, cow farm this, cornfields that. That's pretty much what it is still. But now it's like angry politics, Midwest, Ohio. So yeah, awesome. All right, dude, let's go ahead and fuck up some AHSOKA, because there's lots to discuss. I got all sorts of motherfucking notes from this episode. The ending itself, we could probably spend 45 minutes on, hopefully mostly correcting people, because I'll tell you what, that's the other interesting thing with mixing with fans, Nick, right after a new episode of Star Wars, is you have to wonder if they have eyeballs and a brain. Because there's a lot of people like, oh my God, Darth Vader's at the end. Did you see the lightsaber? Did you hear that? I'm like, what? Just lighten your fucking screens, people. I put out a video for you. There's still people. Star Wars Theory yesterday is still like, I think that's Darth Vader's lightsaber. It's like, dude, it's Anakin's fucking lightsaber. And for those of you that still don't believe me, shame on you. But Peter Ramsey, the director of the episode, did an interview with IGN. Is like, that is Anakin Skywalker before the fall for those in the back. Okay? You guys good now?
Yeah, I think a lot of people like really looked too far into like the small ting of Vader's theme towards the end.
What?
Like obviously, like that's gonna play because that was the ultimate fate of Anakin Skywalker at that time during. So his
know why he played
lifetime.
them, right? It's like here's how I can explain it. At least how I envision the creators. From the camera angles to the music to how they act, the tone of their dialogue. Literally, when she sees him, She gets transported back to Snips. Anakin. And then the music serves to us to say she also knows deep down who that motherfucker became. All right? It's not like Ahsoka just sees him as like, oh, fuck, yeah, everything's great. She knows that guy became Darth Vader, and she still needs to come to terms with that. She probably feels a little bit of guilt, just like Obi-Wan did. Everyone around Anakin thinks it was their fault. They need to learn that no, this was this dude's destiny. There's nothing you could have fucking done. But the reason his theme played, because it was telling us fans that she also, in that moment, is realizing like, oh, Anakin, but oh shit, I know what you did. And I'm tied to you now. And Baylan thinks I am a part of this death and destruction you wrought across the galaxy.
I mean, it's an interesting scene, and it's hard. Like, it's hard for Ahsoka in that moment too, because like you said, it's like the initial shock of, what we are now assuming is the first time that she's ever encountered Anakin in the Force.
Right. I think we can put. We were debating that on past shows. That was it. Like I really want to dive into WBW. We'll get there, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the first time that she's seen Anakin in the Force since their final encounter on Malachor 5 and Rebels. We know that, she, in that moment, is when she truly realized that, the fate of Anakin Skywalker and that he became Darth Vader. So you have to figure that, yes, hearing, Snips for the first time in decades brought about this flood of incredibly positive emotion, but then also at the same time, as soon as realization set in, she's also like, wait, yes, this is Anakin Skywalker, my master, who used to refer to me as Snips, but this is also the person who tried to kill me in the temple on Malachor 5. And what am I supposed to feel? Like how am I supposed to go about this interaction? Because I don't know who I'm talking to now. It's like, yes, it looks like Anakin, but then also the person who looked like Anakin ended up becoming the scourge of the galaxy for 30 years. Right. So there's a lot of mixed emotion and a lot of probably confusion in Ahsoka at that moment. So yeah, it's very interesting what's going through her head and what we'll see in the episode that's coming out today on the day that we record Tuesday. Which is
probably almost exclusively going to be these two for 45 minutes straight, I think. I think we take almost a full detour outside of maybe a little powwow with Hera's wing, but I'll save my predictions for the pregame. I'm fucking shot out of a cannon, people. Like that episode just juiced me. It was beautiful. Like beautiful to look at. It honored everything that George ever based Star Wars on, maybe even better than George himself. Like those were some of the most beautiful lightsaber battles to ever take place in any Star Wars. They were both slow and methodical, yet choppy and acrobatic. It was a mix of the OT and the prequels. It was like the best of both worlds. All the nods to Kurosawa and the pacing and the sizing up your opponents and getting into position, changing your stances before you attack. That is fucking art. Star Wars art is what we watched. I guess we're in the review at this point in time. So Nick, I'm sorry. I usually let you go first, but like I said, I'm nuts. I'm shot out of a fucking cannon over this stuff. It just, every scene in that episode had meaning. Even that opening scene where they tried to telegraph Sabine's failure at the end and why she would fail and how she can't let go of the personal stuff in favor of the greater good and how that's going to cost her and her team. Then you get into nothing but excellent Star Wars skirmishes. Seeing Sabine don the armor and fucking utilize her Mandalorian skills, thing of beauty. Watching her and Ahsoka together, now you see why Huyang said what he said. Then their separate duels, fantastic. The way Ahsoka handled Smoke Boy, fantastic. The Shin and Sabine fight, fantastic. The Baylan and Ahsoka fight, let me masturbate! It was as good as Star Wars can be. From start to finish, and then you get that fucking end. Hell, I even forgot about the live action Ghost that made me, on the last day of the fucking campaign, spend $600 on the HasLab Ghost. And then, like I said, you have that end. And you're just like, oh my God, we're here. And they brought him in already. We were all expecting him episode 5. No. He tickled our tits in episode 4. And for some of you, you ran off into La La Land with, oh, he's Darth Vader. He's going to fucking kill her. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what shows do you watch when you turn on Star Wars? Quit watching the show in your fucking head. All right?
Yeah. We'll get to the Vader stuff soon, or like once we go through the breakdown, but also like just based off of like Star Wars lore and history on how dark side Force users are able to like persist through the Force, it's not the same way that light side Force users can. Light side Force users can essentially have free reign to kind of appear and disappear where and when they choose to, when they're kind of one with the Force, like like Yoda and like Obi-Wan, like Anakin Skywalker. But particularly for Sith and dark side users, their essence is tied to a particular place, which is why you don't see, Force ghosts of Darth Bane or Darth Revan just kind of popping up wherever there are dark side Force users. Their essence is tied to a particular area. And we've seen that kind of happen, and we've seen that canonized through like Clone Wars. We've seen it through Rebels. We've seen it through comic books and in a lot of different mediums. So if there's one thing that you need just like lore-wise and canon-wise to say that this is not Darth Vader, other than what's already been said by Matt earlier and then by Peter Ramsey, the director, it is that dark side Force users can't just that have their essence caught within the Force can't just pop up anywhere that they want to.
Oh, you know what it was? It answered our question: which form would he take as a ghost? And it was the right one. I mean, he should take that form. He should be in brown leather, Revenge of the Sith, Anakin. We were like, maybe Crispy. Going for the funny angle, but by then he was dark side. So yes, yeah, okay. Exactly. But like I said, I have so many fucking things to talk to young Nick about the World Between Worlds, how it's being used in this show. We've got insights from Dave I dug up that I should help everybody that are getting paranoid about time travel in Star Wars. Don't worry, it's okay. It's not really time travel. He makes it pretty clear. It's a linear line. Linear, meaning you can hear voices from the past, present, and future, but you can't necessarily enter doors that you didn't enter yourself, meaning you can't break the timeline. We'll get there. But Nick, real quick, BMAD brings it. This is another one of these points where I'm just like, people, learn your lesson, okay? I saw this one too, BMAD. There's a bunch of people out there saying it's going to be the brother from Mortis, that's who is in the WBW. I'm like, people, you really think Dave's going to go there in a live action show where he's barely even, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's just Rebels. He's barely even given any of that backstory in the Ahsoka live action. You think he's going to get into the fucking Gods of Mortis arc in a single episode? No. It's fucking Anakin. Why is that so hard? Why is that so hard for people?
It would be really difficult for them to... I mean, it's already very difficult for this show to cover all of the lore that it has to cover just to get to where it is. Not to mention, where we're going to be going now that the Eye of Sion has gone off with Sabine in tow. That's going to be a whole other kind of story and lore time that you're going to have for casual viewers. I think that if you're going to try to, if you're going to try to bring in the Mortis arc, doing it through an Anakin Force Ghost is a really bad way to do it, because it was never established that he actually took up any mantle within the trio of Force beings that were on Mortis, the father, the daughter, and the son. And even to that point, if he did, I don't think that he would necessarily hold the mantle of the son, because that one was particularly held for the Dark Force user, and we know towards the end of Anakin's life and Vader's life, when Luke was holding him there in his arms as he passed, he, you know, almost in a very Catholic rites ceremonial type of way, you know, repented for his sins, right, you could say, and reaccepted the light into his life. So for him to be the paragon of the dark side, embodied by the brother in that arc, would be hard to believe.
Yeah, dude, it's like, listen, I get it. We all like to have fun. You and I, we had fun. You know, even the Merrick thing, who cares? Like, if you really think about from a story sense, he was never developed. He just looked cool. He did his purpose. He got people talking about the show. He got people speculating. In the end, that's all creators want. There's no room for him in this story to really be anybody. And I'm okay with that. Yes, we had these ideas of Barriss, Dark Ezra at a time, Starkill. All that stuff's fun to talk about. But it ain't going to happen. We told you that. So, you know, a lot of us still suffer from the, hey, it's not what's in my head. Or you get way too into the weeds. You gotta understand, like, this isn't the cartoons where they can kind of do some of the goofy stuff. It's Anakin, all right? And I truly think he is in ghost form. It would make sense that a Force ghost could be in the world between worlds if they're truly even in it. I mean, there's a chance Ahsoka is just in like in a coma, and she could be fucking dreaming this shit up for all we know.
Yeah, just like a space for her, you know, like whatever, like a space for her mind. But
again,
if
you're in a coma, as we've heard, some people talk about seeing the light. She could very well be a Force ghost too. I mean, he says, "Hey, Snips, I wasn't expecting to see you so soon." Implying that he's fucking gone. Like, and he's been watching her, and her showing up in the WBW is a bit shocking to him, yet he's happy. I honestly think what this is all going to be for is to show her, like, listen, you can't fucking give up. You can't be dead. The galaxy needs you, and you are doing what you're supposed to do. You have no skin in my fall, Ahsoka. I need you to understand that. I need you to move beyond this guilt, this idea that because I fell, you can't train people a certain way. You can't do certain things. You can't have certain emotions. I fucking broke you, and now I'm going to try to unbreak you and hopefully convert you into the white, where you have a new purpose, a new outlook on life, and you're going to have what you need to move forward and hopefully conquer this challenge. That's what's going to happen. Everyone getting so fantastical with this, like, I just temper your expectations. I think we're going to see some fucking awesome content. Don't get me wrong. We're going to get the live action Clone Wars. I bet Rex is going to be in there. I bet Anakin and his general, maybe even Obi-Wan, that'd be great. You're going to get all that stuff. I've heard the Mustafar thing's been cut. Who cares? It sounded weird anyways. We're going to get all that stuff, but try not to get so fantastical. You got to remember, it's still Star Wars. Even though the WBW gets a little funky, it's still Star Wars. It's going for a general knowledge audience. They're not going to dive deep into Mortis gods, this, the son, the sister, the father. It just, they don't have time. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover in this show already.
Yeah. All right, Nick, do you just want to do your quick spin, and then we'll dive into the nitty gritty, since I've more or less just been like sucking this episode's penis. So go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is definitely one of the best episodes of live action Star Wars we've had in a while. And I think, and look, I'm going to give Peter Ramsey a ton of credit here. Like, I think that Peter Ramsey understood the property that he was coming into, and more importantly, understood the characters that he was directing better. I mean, what it seems like better than even Filoni and Steph Green did to start with, because there was such a huge difference just in terms of how the characters felt in comparison to episodes 1, 2, and 3, how they interacted, how all of the story flowed, and everything else. I think that this was probably one of the best directed episodes of Star Wars TV that we've seen in a while. And I think that Peter was able to make the characters really feel authentic to what we expected them to feel like from Rebels and other properties. Yeah.
So Nick, I actually have one of my notes, best version of Ahsoka. Plain and simple. I mean, that was her. And you know, it's funny you brought up Peter. I was reading one of his interviews today, and he was talking. He's like, yeah, when I read the script that Dave gave me, he's like, Dave, you're giving me this one? You're giving me this gift? Like, this is the episode where all the shit comes together and blows up, where, yeah, you are going to get probably a bit more emotion. It's no longer just all set up. Now you're having some fucking payoff. You're getting some, bing, bang, boom. So, yeah, and I agree with you. I think Peter took the gift and fucking slayed it. You're not wrong. I had the note, like wrote it last Tuesday night. Okay. So he's not wrong. He is correct. I felt everyone outside of Rey, who's been the tits since day one, seemed to feel a bit more authentic, if you will. Yeah. Yeah. And it's shown through, and that's why the response to this episode has been what it has been from every angle of Star Wars fandom so far. And it's good to see that, it wasn't an actor thing, or it wasn't like a writing thing. It was just like getting these characters dialed in and really giving the actors good direction to get there. I mean, in terms of content, it's just so hard to say anything that Matt didn't already say. I mean, it was chock-a-block full of content that we've been begging to see. This brawl between, Ahsoka and Baylan, and then Shin and Sabine was fantastic. Seeing how, Baylan was able to manipulate to a certain degree. What a Mac Daddy, dude. He is a fucking man. That's someone else we're going to spend extended time on today, so don't worry. Yeah, I mean, the way that and the thing about Baylan and his conversation with Sabine that led to her ultimately, I won't say, turning or anything like that, but good, Nick, because there's a lot of people like, oh, you think she's a bad guy now? I'm like, what the fuck are you watching? No, I mean, there was no turn that up, and that was the purpose of the first fucking scene, motherfuckers. To set up that Sabine struggles with this still, and it bothers Ahsoka. Ahsoka said, "Can I trust you?" No, you can't. Motherfuckers are like, "Oh, is she dark side now? Is she got dark?" Like, what the fuck are you watching, man? Like, no wonder you guys get so angry at Star Wars, because you don't know how to fucking watch shit. Yeah, I just think that it shows you, one, Baylan's earnestness, because I don't think, like, you can go back and you can listen to that conversation. I don't think that he lied to her. Like, I don't think that he said anything that was untruthful. Correct. And all that he did was just appeal to her desire. Of course, he read her mind to have her friend back. Yeah, he read her mind. You could see he literally closed his eyes and scanned her fucking soul. Yeah, and it was that easy for him to just understand the true depths of her desires to have her friend back. That's why Nick's my co-host, because he's not a fucking moron. It is insane, dude. I'm telling you, just one Wednesday morning, if you got a break, scan the internet a little bit and read how people process a Star Wars episode. You're going to be blown away. I mean, if anything, he really kind of tapped into her loneliness. I mean, even with her, one of her old friends, Ahsoka here, her true loneliness without that one person that she's been, yearning to be back together with for a long time now. And for him to be able to, one, identify that, and you can say use it against her. I mean, sure he did. Did he use the memory of Ezra against her? Yeah, definitely. How about the fact that he gave us a huge lore nugget about her family getting dusted in the Purge? Yeah, and now we know why Ursa Wren didn't show up in fucking season 3 of The Mandalorian. Yeah. She's fucking dead. Yeah, she's gone because Ahsoka wouldn't let Sabine go back. Yeah, so I think that, identifying that, understanding what her true desires were, and then also just being like,
unlike Palpatine, who was almost never earnest or almost never honest, I'll put it that way. Earnest is something different. Like almost never honest in conversations with the people that he was talking to, even Anakin pre-fall. I think that Baylan was honest with Sabine.
He manipulated her with truth that she wanted to hear.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. So, I mean, that scene in itself was masterful. The acting between Rey and Natasha was fantastic, and you could truly see struggle within Sabine when the conversation first started to happen, and then you could just see like ultimate resignation at the end. Not like this wasn't something that she did out of excitement or out of, you know, like I want to do this. She knew it was
a bad move, but she couldn't help herself. Yeah. Like she has such a hard on to see Ezra again. She's like, fuck it. You know, obviously very anti-Jedi, but you know, fuck that version of Jedi. They honestly, their belief system didn't serve them very well.
Yeah. So it was an incredible scene that really was kind of the highlight to an incredible episode for me. And then obviously moving into the touch that we had on the World Between Worlds and the Anakin stuff was fantastic. And it sets up what is going to be should be a truly amazing second half of this show.
Yeah.
You know, like
we know like the only scenes left that we haven't seen, Nick, are three new Republic capital ships coming out of hyperspace, and Hera and looks like Tiva and the other dude leaving Cetos, probably with Ahsoka. Yeah, exactly. So that's it. Yeah. Essentially, episode 5, 6, 7, and 8 is going to be all fresh outside of those little clips.
Yeah, I mean it's
all like Nick said. We're moving. I really think 5 is almost all going to be Ahsoka and Anakin, but 6, 7, 8 is all going to be in that other galaxy, finding Thrawn, finding Ezra, figuring that shit out, and in my guess, ultimately failing in the mission to prevent Thrawn from returning.
Yeah. I mean, it's got. I know that there's speculation or like there's a lot of unsure thoughts around like, well, what's going to happen? Are they going to make it back? I mean, but yeah, I mean, at this point, we have to assume that they're going to make it back, because if they don't, then what is the plot of this crossover film?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you need your big bad to coalesce the remnants here.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, though, Nick, the way this season's going to end, it will completely warrant a season 2. Like this is not a it's going to end and we're all going to be like,
can't wait for
what more? It's going to have a very Empire end. Like you might have a minor win, but the good guys are mostly going to get fucked up.
Hey, I mean, that's something that we really haven't seen in Star Wars for a while. Especially kind of Star Wars TV land for a while.
Bad Batch, probably the end of Bad Batch season 2, probably the closest. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, that was the last one that really kind of gave us an ESB style ending. But if you look at even the Kenobi series that ends during the reign of the Empire, kind of still ended on a high note. Rescuing
he got
Princess
his mojo
Leia.
back. He's like, all right, I'll actually watch over this Luke fuck and maybe train him at some point in time. So
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I really do hope that we get to see, and it's yet to be seen and yet to be kind of leaked, as far as I know, what the plan is for Baylan, because obviously, Rey is no longer with us. He's not going to be able to carry on to season 2.
I have a feeling unless they change things in post, that we could be very, unfortunately and very sadly, looking at another Carrie Fisher moment where the story moving forward is going to be heavily impacted because the actor passed in real life.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of things you can do to try to mitigate that if the character is absolutely necessary for season 2. As far as I see this character, he's probably not necessary for season 2. Morgan Elsbeth probably looks at him and Shin as kind of a means to an end, and now that she has unlock this hyperspace route into this new galaxy.
He clearly has his own agenda. Like, he is not even remotely keyed into what she's doing. Like, he could give two fucks about Thrawn. He said he's going to serve a greater good. Like that again. Once we get into the Balin stuff, I want to drill on some of these lines with you. So, all right, okay. I think we kind of got done bukkaking all over this episode. So let's go ahead and really dive into the nitty gritty. Hopefully, you all have been educated. We do this every week. You can come back next week when you need filled in on what happened tonight. Speaking of what's going to happen tonight, again, if you're new here, I'm a fucking huge Star Wars narcissist. Also a normal narcissist. But I even put the clip out because I fucking nailed it, okay? I'm just going to come out and say it. I nailed the prediction for episode 4. So the fact that more people aren't listening to us and they'd rather listen to stupid shit like, oh, that's going to be the brother and half Darth Vader. Like, what do you want to listen to? Fucking cockamamie bullshit or like enlightened speculation? Because that's what we fucking deliver week in and week out. Go check out the clip. It's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I literally tell you exactly how the episodes go and exactly how the fight's going to end. And Nick tried to fight me. He's like, nah, he's not going to throw her off the cliff. He threw her off the fucking cliff.
He did. You were definitely right about that.
Get some. Where is all of my accolades? Where's the recognition? Where's the following? No, you guys all want to go follow fuckheads that talk about toxic shit and don't know their ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to Star Wars lore. Dicks! Okay. Let's do some Easter eggs. All right. Then we'll get into top moments and all that fun stuff. Because this is so funny. I think everyone, because this is a Filoni product, we're like, this is going to be an Easter egg eye fuck. And it has less Easter eggs than Andor from a series by a guy that fucking pretty much hates Star Wars fans, and hates Star Wars Easter eggs. But there were some cool little references here, so let's go through it. First one, we knew this coming from the trailer. We finally got to learn who Ahsoka was speaking it to, but she drops the heir to the Empire line, a obvious nod to the genesis of Thrawn in the Star Wars from Timothy Zahn, back in the 90s, right? I mean, that's where he originally came from, now considered Legends. But, speaking of Legends, thank God, I wish I would have saved this clip, but there is I don't know I think it's Dave himself essentially saying, like, yeah, the books, I don't know why we call them legends, because in the end, they were never fucking canon. And George said that himself. Like, all those books from back in the day when he wasn't making content have always been bullshit. So get over it, people. You might love the stories, and that's good for you. Words and shit aren't for me. But they've never been real, all right? So let's move on. Thrawn's back. Be happy with it. All right. This scene here, Nick, cost me $600 fucking dollars. And that was the debut of the Ghost. So we actually got to see it in action. And it looked beautiful. Yep. And like I said, and this is where my fandom gets the best of me. Because I'm like, Nick, I held off all summer on this fucking HasLab. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I don't fuck with Hasbro anymore. I really don't fuck with TVC. I do Black Series of anything. But then this fucking episode comes out, grabs onto my nostalgic nutsack and just keeps pulling on it the whole time. And by the end, I'm like, fuck, man. I gotta get it now. I gotta get it because it's like in live action. It looks fucking great. Hair is awesome. Kanan's picture's on the fucking dashboard. Give it to me. $600. So when I get it, hopefully I hate it, and I'm gonna try to flip it for $1,200 to some idiot that waited too long. All right, it's time for you all to start paying for my collectible mistakes. Okay. But anyways, the Ghost looked fantastic, and yes, Kanan's picture was in there thanks to whoever dropped that in our Discord. I do not have eyes for that, Nick. It was like so fucking tiny, and it might have been there a millisecond. Some random girl found it and got it out on TikTok.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder how many times somebody had to rewind to find that, because I mean, like, obviously watched the episode, saw the Ghost, did not missed it. But I don't even know if I don't even know if it was intended to be seen. I'll put it that way. So, I'm sure that we'll get another look inside the Ghost cockpit sometime soon, just because, like we were saying, obviously there needs to be a rescue mission for one Ahsoka Tano on Cetos, and I'm sure once she gets back,
it's probably going to be
into the Ghost.
Tiva or Hera is pulling her ass out of the water. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah,
let's be
somebody
real.
And what is she going to do? Sit in the back of Tiva's X-Wing all the way back to wherever they're going to go? I assume that she's going to hop onto the Ghost. And then,
while we're speaking of the Ghost, its co-pilot pretty much confirmed Force sensitive, right? With his line, he didn't say I have a bad feeling about this. It's not the Han line, the tried and true Star Wars saying. He literally looked ill and was saying, I have a bad feeling. Like, we lost. We fucked up. Yeah. We were too late. Yeah. Whatever they were doing down there, they fucking failed. My midichlorians are tingling my tits, and it feels bad, Mom. So, yeah, I mean, he's confirmed Force sensitive. Not that should really be a surprise to anyone that's in the know. His dad was a Jedi, so he's going to have more aptitude for it than a Sabine. All right. Yeah. Sticking with that type of shite here. What else we got? There wasn't. Oh, well, with the ghost scene, Nick, we did get. Obviously, it was nice seeing Tiva showed up. Really surprising. No Zeb like that. I feel like they're just saving money here. And friends, I think at this point we're not getting Zeb, which is odd. Because we're beyond the New Republic. I mean, maybe if Zeb is on Holo talking to Mon, you fucking didn't support them and now they're gone. But he's clearly not going on the main mission, or he would have been there with fucking Tiva. I mean, him and Tiva are on the same base. Yeah. I mean, it is odd that they chose not to insert him at this point, and I don't know if they're saving him for kind of like a big. Almost, Avengers Assemble moment towards the end of this series when they realize that things have gotten out of hand and it's time to really call all the guns right. So
in.
you're talking crossover, not Ahsoka. I honestly, at this point, I don't think he shows up in Ahsoka in any sort of legit capacity. It doesn't make sense, man. We can kind of read the tea leaves. This episode pretty much all WBW in my opinion. And then 6, 7, and 8, you have to get to the Thrawn stuff. So there's no real time for Zeb to do anything outside you should have let me go on the mission. It'll be, if he makes an appearance, it's going to be like that. It'll be no different than his cameo in The Mandalorian. He is not going to play a big role in Ahsoka Season 1, which is odd, and I can only think the reason is, Nick has a good idea. They're waiting for the big banger, but would this not be a perfect moment to have fucking Zeb show up?
No, yeah. I mean, this would have been the most ideal moment because you're going to save two, Sabine, one of your former teammates, and then
former Phoenix members, man. They even called Phoenix leader. I mean, that's why the scene was great. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Tava has definitely become a dude. It was nice seeing him, but it just seemed ripe to have Zeb there. Although I guess we did get Brendan Wayne. He was one of the pilots I think that survived. He's the Mandalorian, the real Mandalorian, not the Pedro. He's the guy that actually moves around and does the pew pew pew, that type of shit. But yeah, I don't think Zeb is going to be used at all, which is odd. Money, I mean, who knows? It
is odd considering that he was introed. It's not he's never been in the Mandoverse. He's already been introed.
He's literally there with them and Dave and Trapper Wolf, all those motherfuckers.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that he pops up still, but now it's a little bit harder to see the easy entry point, I guess you would say.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Unless he just randomly shows up oh, Hera, I heard you ran away and I had a tracker on Chopper. It's not happening. He would have been in that initial assault group with the other X-Wing people. I'm sorry. It ain't happening. You're right. Narratively, it would be a crowbar at this point, unless it's just a casual cameo still in the known galaxy, him getting an update on what Hera did, essentially breaking rank. And by the way, I really am enjoying Hera too. I think she's fantastic. That little scene where she's essentially you know what? I'm General Syndulla. Go fuck yourself. All right? See ya. I like that. Okay, next one here. It seems we're getting a few references this season to Indiana Jones when she picks up the orb and it essentially burns her. That's a callback to
Temple of Doom
stuff. Totally. I don't think that the map has imprinted onto her, but you never know. I mean, this thing is Night Sistery. Maybe something transferred into her and they're going to use that to try and find them. But I still think they're going to rely on the whales to find them.
Yeah, it makes the most sense for it to be the Purrgil for sure. I mean, obviously in the last episode, we pointed out all of the Purrgil kind of, I don't want to call it lore, but like once the entire Stonehenge itself was activated, we pointed out all of the different instances of Purrgils within the map itself. And it would also be very hard to decipher burn marks on a hand of Ahsoka to like figure out where the galaxy is. You know, this isn't the same type of thing as we saw in the first Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark when Abner Ravenwood had
and burns it into his hand.
Burns it into his hand for that. This requires a lot more to figure out the coordinates of an entire galaxy. So I would assume that Purrgils will be used to, if the New Republic is transported.
You know what I could see? You know, let's say something passed into her. Maybe she communicates to the Purrgil like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Can you take me here? You know, something like that.
Yeah.
Because we know, I mean, Ezra literally called the fuckers in to take the Chimera out. It wasn't like a coincidence. It was coordinated. Like they literally listened to him through the Force, I'm assuming, back in Rebels when he had his big sacrifice. God, I wish I could share the Ezra stuff I know. It's eating me up inside. All right. Going through here, sticking with it's mostly just references here. All right. I guess we'll do a little bit of, no, not yet. We'll save that for the end. So we get live action World Between Worlds. Okay. Obviously, it may be a little different than how it was presented in Rebels. We didn't see her walk through a door. We didn't see her get pulled through a door. I really think, Nick, it's like if you're a Force user and you know your shit, you know of this place, when you pass, your spirit can cross over. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like almost, I don't want to call it like a purgatory place, but it seems like it's going to be an area where you can almost like go and walk your life.
You're not quite wrong. I mean, I might as well just get into the World Between Worlds stuff. No, I don't want to. I'll save it for top moment. Mm-hmm. The way Dave explains it truly is a world in between the world where there are rules to it, but it's not time travel. Okay. I know people are like, well, fuck you. What about, but just, we'll get there. I promise you. We're just doing references right now. So we finally get the WBW in live action. And, you know, obviously we get the hello snips call back to the Clone Wars, and seeing those two together. Yes. A very magical moment. I know a lot of people were, you know, upset about de-aged Hayden. It's like, was it really that bad? I mean, I guess his one eye looked a little droopy, but it's like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, it was not something that I like even was bothered by. It didn't bother me at all because there was way too much stuff happening in the show and in the scene for me to like care.
Again, like you watch it like me. You watch it like, oh wow, we're getting some great moments in lore where you might go, hey, that could have looked better, but it's not even remotely at the top of my list of things to discuss. All right. So there's our references, and I promise you that's Anakin. Look up my video on all the channels. All you had to do was brighten the shot a little bit, tweak the contrast. I don't get people, man. Oh, it's Darth Vader's lightsaber. On what fucking planet did Darth Vader have a full chrome blade?
Yeah, I mean, like the biggest tip off to that is the tip of the lightsaber. Right. The tip of Darth Vader's lightsaber is black.
It's
exactly. Like you can see the tip of the lightsaber very clearly, even in the shots that people are pulling out.
I know, man, but they're literally using those shots and like it's the Zapruder film. They're like, look, see the fucking handle grip kind of look. If you line them up, I'm like, no.
I mean, and here's the thing. Like, yes, Anakin and Vader's lightsabers are very similar. They're
yes, very, very it's the similar. Same fucking guy, people. Of course he's going to model his red saber after the way he built his Jedi one. Nick is right. They're almost identical. The really only difference is he makes the grip a little bit longer and he adds a little fucking plastic tip to the top.
Yeah, he's got a black plastic tip. So like, yeah, you can look at that saber and be like, oh my gosh, it looks like Darth Vader's saber. It's because it does. Like Anakin's lightsaber looks almost exactly like Vader's lightsaber, except for some very, very small tweaks. The most prominent one being the black tip.
100%.
Yeah. So
it's mind-boggling. Like Connor's saying here, dude, those lightsaber theories were killing me. Yeah, it kills me too. And what kills me is that I'm literally here week in and week out, even beyond this show, trying to educate Star Wars fans as to what is really happening. And no one fucking pays attention. They like the batshit crazy fucking moron nonsense. They like these theories from people that still think Ahsoka is taking place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. No! Learn media literacy. Even with fake shit, people, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. All right. Let's get into some top moments so we can get to this World Between Worlds, because I have so many questions. Like, dude, I have so many ha's. We're going to be here till tomorrow. Okay. First top moment here, and it was spectacular. I think it reminded everyone that was kind of like, hey, man, what's up with Sabine? But she straps on that fucking helmet and grabs her dual blasters, and we see, like, okay, yep. She would have been like little Grogu training with darts. You can see why. I mean, she is a formidable adversary when she is tapping into her Mandalorian ways. They don't necessarily work as well. We see when she runs into Shin, she ultimately has to switch to her Jedi form because, I mean, let's be real, Nick. Who won the war against Jedi and Mandalorians?
Yep. Jedi
okay,
won.
so Mandalorians are fucking badass motherfuckers. But in the end, just like Gideon was saying, they have to rely on their gimmicks, their tricks, or some shit, right?
Yeah, their gadgets. Yeah, gadgets and tricks.
Right. And you saw that with Sabine. Once she came up against a Force user, she had to change her strategy because it wasn't going to cut it. And there's people like, well, just keep shooting her. I mean, Shin would have deflected all that fucking shit.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you get off a couple of lucky shots initially, but that's, like when you are Force sensitive and you're practicing the Force, we saw how this plays out in Clone Wars. Like they showed you what happens when a Force user is being shot at. Like your perception of time slows down. You see where the bolts are going to hit before they arrive there, which makes it a lot easier for you to deflect. So yeah, like the first couple of shots are going to catch her off guard. But then once she realizes that this girl is just going to keep shooting at me, the deflecting of the bolts it's going to be easier each time.
And also, I mean, even when Sabine was looking like a badass, who'd she need to help her out? A Force user. I mean, she's getting lit up, Din Djarin style. Nick's favorite, bullet sponge. Like just and Ahsoka's like, oh, hold on, let me help you. And just Force moves a dude in front of the other dude. So he shoots him up and then she slices the other guy. So, but either way, it was still a great moment. It kind of set the tone for this episode's action. And we got to see Sabine full Mando, which always looks great on screen, as we know from The Mandalorian. But apparently that show sucks now for a lot of people too. So moving on to the next top moment. I teased it earlier, but I was a fan of Hera's rebellion. I am really digging Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this role these days, and more for just that cupcake. Okay, I'm not going to go any further than that. You guys know what I'm talking about. She might have her own 2% club at this point in time. But Nick, I just like it because that's Hera, right? I mean, we knew the line was coming, once a rebel, always a rebel, but she shows us why. I mean, she showed fans who are new to this series, new to these characters, who she is and how she has operated literally since the dawn of the Empire, now that we've seen the Bad Batch. So I liked her bucking the system, doing the double bird to, Chancellor and sit around and see who wins guy. And kind of leaves her with Lieutenant hanging to cover for her. I just dug it. I mean, it captured who this lady is, why she's a general, both in the Rebellion and now the New Republic, and why she was the glue that held the Ghost Crew, soon to turn in Phoenix Squadron, the Spectres originally, together. Okay.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Another top moment. I mean, come on. The duel between Sabine and Shin, and then Marak and Ahsoka. I loved how it all started. You know, they run into each other in the woods and they kind of square off right away. It's kind of like, all right, you do that, I do this. They stayed together for a while. But Nick, really, I mean, I think Ahsoka's duel in particular just goes to show truly how skilled and powerful she is in the Force and with her lightsaber skills. It was a thing of beauty, art in motion. It reminded me a lot of Obi-Wan and Darth Maul's final encounter on Tatooine, where, you know, Obi-Wan was at such peace at that point in his life that all he had to do to defeat Darth Maul was one move.
Yep.
And she did the same thing. She like, you know, they might have crossed blades a little bit, but once he was like, okay, I'm going to do my spinny trick, you could see her. She's like, all right. She backs off, takes deep breath, moves through some forms, gets into a position, and just waits for the attack and literally block slash all in one move. You're dead. It's just, I mean, it's something you would see out of a samurai movie. It was fantastic. And having that dark backdrop really made the lightsabers pop. So you got some really fantastic looking shots in the Sabine versus Smoke Boy.
Yeah.
I guess since we're talking about Smoke Boy, I mean, it does come, he does explode in the green smoke. Is that kind of a nod that potentially he had some Night Sister juice in him, Nick? Or is that just because didn't the Inquisitor and Tales of the Jedi also disappear when she killed him? I'm almost positive. I think he just like puffs out.
Yeah, I don't recall. Maybe, I mean, when I saw it happen, I was like, okay, so this is basically how they're going to introduce like Night Sister magic or like Night Sister.
You got that
like
vibe because it was green, right? Like there's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way that I thought of it, because now when when Hera and the crew get to Cetos and they find Ahsoka can be like, wait, like we have to go look at this body. Okay. Something is up with it.
I hope. I don't think they're going to do that, but that would be some way. That would be a way to kind of put all this to bed. Like, who was he? Why did he need resurrected? Was he resurrected by Morgan, essentially? Yeah, and it's also a way for, like, if they do that, if they investigate this body, then it's a way for the New Republic or the members of this limited crew to be like, okay, now we might have an idea of what we're messing with. I got you. Because up to this point, they have no idea. They know that Morgan Elsbeth is trying to it's essentially all hearsay to them. I mean, that's where hey, Hera, go fuck yourself. Honestly, this is just you trying to pay off on saving Ezra, who's dead. Yeah, and now they have evidence. They can take this body and say like, hey, look, this is some Night Sister shit. I know that most of you don't know what this is, but me, Ahsoka, I know what this is. Like, this is some fucked up magic stuff that we may have to face head on if we're not, proactive, or at this point, proactivity is out the window. If we're not prepared for what's coming back through this hyperspace lane, we could get fucked up pretty bad, because we're dealing with some next level non-Force stuff here. Yeah, some zombie shit. I think you're spot on, but because it makes too much sense narratively, it's not going to happen. I really think we're fast forwarding into the new galaxy after episode 5. Maybe one more check in with the New Republic. So there's a chance. There is a chance, Nick. Maybe, but probably not. But even like even the Sabine Shin was great to watch. It was a little more even than their first duel. Shin clearly still has the upper hand with the full Force powers. Now, Nick, Did you take it as Sabine throwing a Force bitch slap, or was that Shin just kind of juking to that maneuver, thinking she was going to get hit by the Force?
Yeah, like I thought about that a lot after the episode ended, and because of the way that Shin reacted after she turned her head, it was almost like she was bracing herself. Okay. Like, like when you see something coming at you, I mean. Or like somebody swinging at you, like you brace and you're like, okay. But then she realized, like when she braced, she's like, wait, nothing happened.
She literally says, you have no power.
You have no power. So like to me, it was just like, she saw that she was about to do something and as a Force user is like, oh, she's going to try to push me. So she braces herself, but then nothing happens. So she's like, you don't have any power. So that completely and I think that like in that moment, that changes the way that Shin approaches this battle now, because she's going at this fight initially like, I'm fighting another Force user. I don't know when she's going to break out her Force powers, but I know she has them. But then after that, she's like, okay, this is different.
I feel like they made the Force push sound, but I could have been hearing shit. Either way, even if it was, like I said, it was, you're spot on. I think Shin was preparing to get tossed, but when it was just like a slap on the cheek, she's like, oh, fuck, you ain't got shit. You ain't got shit.
And, like, my assumption is that'll come back around.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Like they have another fight and she is finally able to tap into the power a little bit more.
Well, here we go. I'm going to give you credit here. I'm going to go to one of my ha's, and I just wrote Nick right about Balin versus Shin. And, if you remember from our predictions once, I think this was a prediction, but I was like, I think Shin's going to turn, but to be good, where I don't think Balin's going to turn, but I think Balin's going to have to put Shin down at some point. I do. Like, I think we saw it when after Nick talked about how he was very diplomatic with Sabine, made a promise, stuck to the promise, and then his apprentice immediately goes to, I'll just kill her. And he's like, hey, fuckhead, that's not how I operate. I keep my promise, unlike her master. So I think Shin is going to grow weary of Balin and possibly how he treats Sabine. There is going to be some discord there, and I think it's ultimately going to be Balin potentially doing the right thing to put down a rabid dog. Shemal. Yeah,
I think that like the likelihood of him, and the thing is now is like after seeing this episode, I don't look at Balin as like a dark side person.
No, we've been saying this all along. He's not a blah-ha-ha-ha bad guy.
Yeah, like, and it's even more reinforced by what we saw in this most recent episode. Like, even his battle with AHSOKA was very honorable. Like,
he was saying it shouldn't come to this. Like, I don't know why we're doing this. You should just listen to me. I know things that you don't, and I'm going to fix stuff. We're almost there. We're almost there. Hold tight. We're almost there. Because I'm ready to fucking explode over all this shit. All right, so
it's good.
Next top moment, like we're talking about, and I guess I'll drill into some of my Balin stuff now, but clearly probably the top moment of the episode was the fight between Balin and AHSOKA from start to finish. The opening where they're kind of sizing each other up. He's laying some stuff out there, letting her know that he knows much more about her than she does about him. Rey, again, is a Star Wars acting god. Every single Star Wars actor should look to him and be like, that's how you do it. I honestly can't think of someone that has been better. Maybe Daisy Ridley in the Force Awakens. I think she was pretty damn good.
She was dialed in.
But I honestly can't think of a better Star Wars actor at this point in time for how their character was written. But really, everything about the fight was just peak Star Wars. We can sit there and keep throwing out superlatives left and right. That's not going to get anyone anywhere. So, Nick, I want to dive into a lot of the shit he said and kind of see where your head is at, and maybe some of the fans here. And then we'll get to the WBW mega breakdown. So obviously the fight between him and AHSOKA was fantastic. And then another top moment was him, like Nick brought up earlier, and I think Nick did a great job of explaining why that was a top moment, but him just master manipulating Sabine. So two fantastic Balin moments, but here's some of the questions. All right, so Nick, when they're talking, it really sounds like Balin...
Get that. Could you try it?
Shut the fuck up, cunt. It really sounds like Balin knows a lot of things about Ahsoka. Almost to the point where I wrote down time travel. Like, has this guy already been to the WBW and has heard things, maybe peered through a door? He clearly hates Anakin Skywalker and what he did. I wrote down, do you get any feeling that he may be trying to restore the order?
I didn't get that feeling, but
like in his vision, like not like, hey, I want to do it, but like his vision of what the order should be.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that he sees value in there being some sort of like force user collective.
Yeah, he knows there's a power. Right?
Like,
he's like, he told Shin, there's a power like you have never imagined or experienced, something like that. So
yeah,
and we know from past episodes that this dude, at least through lore and tales told to him, he has an idea of what this path to Peridia can lead to. All right, we don't really know that yet. I mean, maybe he knows about the civilizations there and knows the power they have, and knows potentially connections to WBW. Although at this point, I really think WBW is just reserved for this episode with Anakin and Ahsoka. I don't think it's going to play any role in how this season eventually plays out. But I mean, how about the line where he's like, your legacy is nothing but death and destruction to Ahsoka. So what does he know that we don't, or is he just lumping her into Anakin because they were together as Jedi, and is he sort of blaming her for Anakin's fall because she left Anakin hanging at the Order?
Yeah, I think that like there's definitely a lot of disillusionment with the Jedi Order at that time, and I think it's specifically around Anakin, but also I think that there's a big problem with, I think he had a big problem with Jedi leadership at that time, because I think what he's saying is like, when he says like everybody knew Anakin Skywalker, is not necessarily like, yes, that is a true statement, but I think that what he may be hinting at is within the Order, there was probably a very uneasy feeling around Anakin and his progression towards like Jedi knighthood as quickly as he did, towards like being on the council at the behest of Palpatine towards the end. I think that there was a large contingent of Jedi that were very mum about their feelings about Anakin, but all felt like this guy is going to be our end. And he is one of the few that survived to be able to see that, and basically looks at Ahsoka as like, you are the progeny of the one that we all knew would destroy us. So there's no way that you could be, a positive influence onto like, this galaxy.
By association, she's irredeemable, and she is culpable for his fall, kind of playing into what I'm saying, and some of the guilt I think Ahsoka also shares. Like, I mean, he could potentially be telling her exactly what he wants her to hear, because he also can sense that trepidation in her while they're fighting. Like, she feels blame for Anakin's death and destruction, even though we know she had no control over
nothing
what
to
he
do
did.
With it. Yeah, I mean,
but I'm telling you, I honestly think this episode it's going to be for her former master to show her, like, listen, you got to let go of that shit. You are meant to be where you are at. You need to be ready for this. You need to get back out there. It's not your time. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be any time manipulation shenanigans, and we'll go over that coming up soon. But the other thing I want to talk about, when he's talking to Sabine, and he tells us, like, listen, I am doing this to serve a greater good, almost like, unlike your master, always fucking things up and taking things from you. She didn't let you go save your family, so I won't let you down. I won't lie to you. I'm doing this to serve a greater good. What is the greater good? I mean, it's like, I feel like in his warped mind, he feels like he can fix the galaxy, not so much through like force like a Palpatine, but he can change things for the greater good by going to this galaxy. Yeah,
I think that obviously we know that he has heard of the paths of the Peridian, or the path to Peridian. He has an understanding of it through tales, like through stories that they would tell at the Jedi Academy. So and the thing is if he continues to believe that, then usually what happens when you're telling tales when you're a child is like they're very fantasticized, and they're not nearly as true as you imagine them to be when you're a kid. So he's probably looking at this path to Peridia as like, I know what's there because I've been told what was there when I was a Jedi, and everything that I've heard from Morgan and everything else. Like, I know that there is a power there that if we can bring back and we can harness, then we can potentially, bring new possibilities to this galaxy that didn't exist before. But I think what may end up happening to him is that there's going to be a stark realization once he gets there that like what his expectation is not what reality is.
I'm with you 100% there. You said it perfectly. It's like, you're told this your whole life. And in each telling, something changes, gets that more exciting, that more fantastical, to where you buy into that tale. But then when you actually meet the thing in reality, it's something completely different. And that's the beauty of the saying, the victors essentially write history, and it's true. We don't know really what happened way back then. I mean, a lot of times it's just the guys with all the power that were winning said, hey, we won because they were doing this shit. You don't know what they were actually doing. But then through time, through retellings and changes and word of mouth, before we actually had computer systems and whatnot, shit gets crazy to the point where, the Bible has stories of people living in whales and people growing out of ribs and all sorts of fantastical shit that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So, it really wasn't until the time of photo documentation that we could really like put any sort of truth to what people were saying. Like when you could see pictures of things, then you can be like, oh, well, there was some truth to what history's saying. But prior to that, when it's just word of mouth being passed down, not a lot of ways to confirm any of that. And I think that's kind of what's happening here is like he's heard tales and he's heard stories and he's heard these myths of the path to Peridia and what lies beyond this galaxy. But he's never had the ability to, one, reach it, and two, confirm anything. And then when he finally is contacted by Morgan Elsbeth, who says, like, I have the power to get there, I only need your help to do it. Right. You have to imagine that all of these stories that he heard from his time training as a Jedi in the temple on Coruscant, floods back to him. And he's like, this is the way that we could write things,
And that's kind of where I'm at. I want to reiterate, I do not think Baylan is trying for any sort of world domination, galactic domination. Like, he truly believes in his heart of hearts what he is doing is right, and he is serving the greater good, and people like Ahsoka just don't understand. They're getting, I mean, he literally says it shouldn't have to come to this. Like, just fucking get on board with me. I'm going to fix everything, Ahsoka. All the shit your master fucked up, and his buddy Prune Face, I got you. You just have to believe me, even though the way I'm going about it is working with a villain, killing a bunch of New Republic, Navy personnel, almost killing you. But I tell you, I got the right idea. We are going to serve the greater good. And that's why he is one of the greatest Star Wars characters instantly. Villains for sure. I mean, I hate to even call him a villain.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like villain is almost a hard term to use with him. I mean, like, he's definitely being positioned, or he was positioned to us as a villain initially. But I think, like, the more you see of Baylan, the more you're like, I don't think that this guy's a bad guy. I just think that this guy, he's trying, and he's probably been trying for decades since the fall of the Order to do something that he feels can make things better for the galaxy. And this is, and he knows that he's probably working with the wrong people and he's working with shitty people, but he's like, what else can I do? I have
Nick,
to get
he
to
also knows the New Republic ain't doing squat shit.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, somebody has to do something, and I'm the only one who can do it at this point.
Yeah, I really think that is his motivating factor. Last question, we'll move on to WBW. I mean, obviously, outside of what Anakin turned into, do you think that some of his just red rage hate for Anakin could be related to Anakin potentially killing his Padawan?
Oh, almost assuredly. And that was something that I was going to bring up earlier when we were talking about it, is the visceral hatred that he has towards Anakin isn't due to, it's due to what he did to the Order.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it's
just
like
all the friends he potentially killed, Padawan.
And like I saw like some stuff out there like, oh, was he a Padawan during the Purge? He's way too old.
Jesus Christ. There you go, Nick. See, you are reading some of it. It just doesn't get you as angry as it gets me. Like, look at the motherfucker. He's at least Darth Vader's age.
Yeah, no, he's way too old to have been a Padawan during that time period.
He's older than Darth Vader. I mean, Darth Vader's only like fucking in his 40s or 50s at this point in time. Yeah.
So if anything, I think it could definitely be this, like he had a Padawan that was at the Jedi Temple during the siege of the temple in Episode 3, and his Padawan gets killed, or just the friends. I mean, just think about the amount of friends he probably had within the Order, like
I mean, I know they
potentially Jedi other knights and masters.
They can't say it, Nick, but it is their family. I mean, he was there as a child and probably grew up with a bunch of people that got murdered.
Yeah.
Maybe in front of him. And so, okay.
Right. So I think that's where his anger towards Anakin stems from, is not from his time as Darth Vader or what he did to the galaxy during the reign of the Empire. It was during the siege of the Jedi Temple and the slaughter of the Jedi during Order 66.
Doesn't he say like something like, I lost faith a long time ago, more or less? And he lost faith in the Order. Their anointed chosen one gutted him from the inside out, essentially. So, all right.
Yeah.
Either way, Balin for fucking president, and what a shame that Rey passed. I mean, it's just unbelievable. We finally get one of the greatest new Star Wars characters of all time, and the man that plays him moves on. It's a fucking shame, a true shame. I mean, just look at his looks. I said it before, I'm going to say it one more time. He elevates everybody's game. Like, anytime he's in a scene, it's going to be the best. Everyone's going to be at their best.
Like, that's what happens with like really good actors is, when you're in a scene with them, you have to match their energy. You have to match their level of performance. And you can see that whenever he's on screen with another actor. Like, they bring it to another level because they're like, well, this guy is putting on a masterclass right now, and I really have to match that. So
I mean, he really is.
It's a big loss.
He's a fantastic performer. The first time I came across Rey was in the HBO Rome series. I don't know if that was like his first big prominent role, but if you've never seen it, go watch Rey in Rome. You'll appreciate it. That's where I learned to appreciate this guy. And then obviously he goes on to played Punisher. He was in the Vikings series that I forget, started on like history. It was really good. It's on Netflix now. But he's the man. He's the fucking man. All right. So down to the final top moment here. The World Between Worlds. A fantastic transition, by the way. How'd you like that? It's like, the water, and then, here we are. She wakes up.
Yep.
We've already discussed why it's top moment, so I don't want to really waste time on that, Nick. What I want to get into is, how did Ahsoka get there? Is she fully dead or in like an unconscious coma? And is she... Okay, well, tell me first, fully dead or coma?
Not fully dead. I'll say not fully dead. I think it is some sort of like like in between for like if you're in a coma.
So if
or something
she's
like
in
that,
a coma, is this her force spirit, or is she dreaming all this? Is she actually in the WBW?
Yeah, I mean that's harder to break down, because then you get into like, well, when a Jedi dreams, is it really their like force essence wandering? It's a hard thing. I'm gonna say that like this is probably like her force essence reaching out to something, like like knowing that the physical body is in danger and like potentially in danger of dying. Like this is almost her trying to reach out to someone or something that can potentially help her. And the first spirit or the first person that she comes in contact with is her old master. And
it makes sense.
Is almost,
and another thing, this world has saved her before, so it's familiar to her when she's in trouble, near death, in fact. So yeah, I mean, my initial note was, I just wrote, going with Ahsoka may actually be dead for now, and she's in the WBW with Anakin as Force Ghost, more or less. He said to her, "I didn't expect to see you so soon." So I fully believe he is in his Force Ghost form. This is their first interaction, and I'm with you. She's not fucking like X's in her eyes, but she's near death, and her essence is essentially reaching out. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, if we want to make it's like we always keep going back to the Gandalf things, like when it comes to Ahsoka, but like, I mean, it's possible that she's dead, because Gandalf's journey from gray to white was like he died after he killed, like he died on the mount after he killed the Balrog. He was dead. He goes, to whatever the afterlife is for Maiar and Istar and Lord of the Rings, and then he is sent back.
Yeah, they say, no, fucking Saruman's a dickhead. Yeah. You need to finish what he was supposed to do.
Exactly. Like
that's what's happening here, man. Especially if she dons the white. It's the same thing. We know it's a thing Dave has already touched on in the epilogue. She becomes the white. And you're exactly right. She mega battle against a formidable foe. She falters near death and kind of has a vision and ultimately a rebirth. I like this right here from Connor. By the way, I'm not going to lie. As narcissistic as I am digging what these motherfuckers are putting out. Like their production value for their little podcast thing. I wish he lived here and did it for us, because it makes their videos very engaging. Much better than what I do holding my phone up recording our screens. But here, I think you'll appreciate this, Nick. To quote another nerdy franchise, "Of course this is all in your head, Harry. Why should they mean it's not real?" I like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. She's in an in-between state, and she's going to get some tutelage, and eventually Anakin's be like, "Listen, you're not meant to be here. You are meant to live, fight on. This is where you're supposed to be. I'm blessing you. I'm forgiving you. Whatever you need to hear from me, I'm going to give it to you now. Maybe show you some things, remind you of who you are, and you're on. You're back at it. You're going to enter the living world again."
I mean, she's going to get like a piece or multiple pieces of enlightenment through this conversation, that like she can come back, and it's not going to be just like, oh, I have a second chance. It's going to be a whole new understanding.
Right. I've got the proper mindset now to do what I need to do before I die. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what Big Wood's saying here? I'm not entirely against this either. Anakin pulled her in like Ezra did. Maybe, sure. I mean, he's a Force Ghost. He probably has deeper access to the WBW than a living being. We know living beings actually need gateways to enter. But like I speculated earlier, who's to say? I mean, if you're a fucking Force Ghost, you are everywhere and anywhere at all times. So, of course, you could enter into this space if need be. And of course, you would make yourself known at this time to her. It makes sense. He didn't sound shocked, but he says a line like, you're essentially, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. And we've never really delved into like how much agency a Force ghost has when it comes to like interacting with other spirits or with like people within the real world. Like we know they can make their presence known. We know that they can take a physical ghostly form, and we know that they can communicate with other Force users. Do they have the ability to like divert like for lack of a better term, a spirit's pathway if it is in transition
we
from
do know
life to the afterlife?
They can light trees on fire as a Force ghost, and they can raise an X-wing from the bottom of an ocean as a Force ghost.
Oh, so, from the sequel
that
trilogy,
solves it.
True.
They can do anything, Nick. They can fucking do anything.
Yeah, so maybe they can. Like, I guess like right now is like we're kind of trying to get to like, was her spirit in passage from life to the afterlife, and then he kind of like diverted it, or was her spirit in this kind of world between worlds? I mean, like literally and then she contacts or he feels her.
Yeah.
And then like, makes contact with her in the in-between space. I mean,
just for him to say, I didn't expect to see you so soon, it kind of throws off the fact that he was the one that pulled her in. It's like, why would you say that if you were the one who literally pulled her in? So that's the only reason I don't think that's. I honestly think it's probably going to be explained as a dream state, an unconscious state, coma type of shit. I really do. And her essence was allowed to transfer over, just like we hear in the real world. I mean, there are people who the fuck knows what sort of Dilaudid and shit they were on, but they're like, yeah, I saw the light, this and that, and the people were talking to me, and I felt this and I felt that. So who's to say Jedi can't experience similar things when they are near death? The image I do have up of Anakin, by the way, if you want to join the live stream, 5 p. East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show on the Tuesdays. But this is the one shot. I felt like his right eye or his left eye just looks a little droopy. And I know Hayden doesn't have the droopy eye syndrome, but oh well. And I did see some people in the chat here. They're like, he did look like he was slouching a little bit, and I agree. It's like he walked in, he's like, hey, you want to fucking party? That type of Anakin, like shaking his hips a little bit. All right, so I think you and I have pretty much confirmed that Force ghosts can inhabit the world between worlds. No, Bigwood, we talked about the Mortis theory. No shot in hell they're going to try to explain that in live action, especially when you consider all the other little minutia Dave has already glossed over from Rebels, Clone Wars, you name it. So I think Anakin's probably going to show her some dark shit. I mean, there's a good chance the big guy does show up, but I don't think the Anakin we saw is anything but Anakin Skywalker as a light side Force user. The director confirmed as much in an article that dropped either today or yesterday. So that's what I'm going with. I just think that stuff's too into the weeds for casual fans, that it would just eat up too much screen time in an 8-episode run.
Yeah, you can go back and kind of listen to our
way too much. You'd have to lay down a lot of backstory if he's just like, I'm the son. You're gonna have people going, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it's just not. It doesn't serve the story at all either. Like it just doesn't make sense in this context. And really, good. Like rewind the show a little bit.
It's somewhere.
And we discussed.
I've been told to clip our Zeb segment. One of the fans said the Zeb segment is clip worthy, so that's probably what I'll be working towards tomorrow. All right. Yeah, it just, listen, I understand where those theories come from. They're just way too deep for this particular franchise. You can do that stuff when you have 20-minute episodes that you can create little arcs and then leave them and move on to something else. I know, props. Now you're gonna let the now he's gonna start teasing things here. So we got a rumor coming up. So let a few more things on World Between Worlds here. I guess, Nick, we could probably move into the pregame at this point. All right, so we know there's almost no shots left from the trailer. I think there's 9 total shots. And I think only 1 or 2 of them is going to be in tonight's episode 5. And that's probably going to be the Ghost and the ships on SWTS heading off in pursuit of the Eye of Sion. I think the bulk of the episode is going to just squarely focus on Ahsoka and Anakin hashing shit out. We are going to get the flashbacks in this episode. I have a feeling, and there's been reports out there. MSW has come out and said, "Listen, I've heard that the Mustafar shit's been cut." He's like, "Listen, sometimes I'm wrong. This time I really feel like it was just cut. So I don't think we're going to see that. I'm not going to go into it any further because it was a bit spoilery. But there was supposed to be a Mustafar moment with kind of an alt look." But I think we're going to get a lot of Clone Wars stuff. I'm still hoping our exclusive pays off where we get the 4 versions of Ahsoka. So 2 young ones, and obviously we've seen the gray, and then possibly coming out of this episode, she could transition into the white. It makes the most sense to me. Do you think she transitions to the white after her time in the WBW? Or,
I mean, it would make the most sense.
Yeah, you can't really save it now for the end of the season.
Yeah, because it's like, what other like transformational life moment could she have after this? Like, this seems like this is the time where like she realizes either, you know, the fault in her mindset, or has such a transformational conversation and understands her life better after this moment. That's the way that I would look at it. So I don't know if there would be a better time for her transformation to the white to happen other than right now. It
kind of makes sense. And possibly, and this would be kind of cool if they did it this way, maybe even her clothes change because of her experience. Like laying in the water maybe dyes them white and she just sticks with it. Something like that. Big Wood, no, they're not going to change the canon. I know there's a lot of people like, oh, they could use the WBW to alt timeline the sequel trilogy. Like, you all got to understand, like, that's like Fox News stuff, okay? I know there's a wing of people out there that you know think JFK Jr. or JFK is still alive and he's going to come back and bring the apocalypse, and that's what that is, okay? It's not going to happen. We're not getting new canon. They're not blowing up the timeline, and I'll tell you why. I mean, we're going to read a quote from Dave on the WBW. The World Between Worlds is not a time machine. It's not. It doesn't work in a way where you can. Well, I guess bad guys technically could fuck things up if we read his quote here in a little bit, but it doesn't operate like the DeLorean, essentially. So yeah, I think episode 5 predominantly between Ahsoka and Anakin, so she can learn once and for all, she's not responsible for his actions. Her leaving and leaving him in the order had nothing to do with his fall. He was always destined to be a piece of shit. Okay, and with that realization, hopefully she can come to a point of growth and understand that her time is not over yet. She's not done. They need to go back. She needs to go back and kind of finish the fight. And I think we get a light sprinkling of Hera and company at the end, kind of scooping her up out of, I don't know if she's laying in the shore or floating out there somewhere. I mean, here's the thing. She could potentially only be unconscious for 2 minutes. But in the world between worlds, it could be years take place. So
yeah, because and here's the thing, like, we know they're close. Like, we know that they're right above SWTS because the Eye of Sion takes off and essentially disables their ships. So you know that they're right above the planet.
They're
so
getting
it's
down
probably
there.
not going to take them long to get there.
Spoiler alert, Hera and the X-Wing will be the people to save Ahsoka, because who else will? Hu Yang's not getting in the water, okay? And Sabine is on the path to Peridia. So
yeah, she's not on this galaxy anymore.
But at least in terms of the real world, I think Ahsoka being out to like Hera and them is probably only going to be a few minutes. But to us, it's going to be an entire episode. And hopefully we come out, she's transitioned to the white. They figure some shit out either through her absorbing information through the star map or like I said, kind of catching a ride with the Purgills, and they are off at the end of the episode.
And look, like what would be even cooler with her transition to the White? I mean, we know again, like going back to Lord of the Rings and Gandalf, when Gandalf becomes the White, he has access to powers that he did not as the Gray. And if you look at what we know Ahsoka can do right now, she has a connection with animals. She has a connection with animals from when she was a child, and we've seen that through Tales from the Jedi, with the Morai and everything else. If she comes out of this and she does have like enhanced Force abilities, she may be able to connect with the Purgill directly, like Ezra could.
I like that.
Like this enhanced sense of being from her time and from the enlightenment that she gains on her journey to becoming Ahsoka the White may give her access, like deeper access to this bond that she has with Force-sensitive animals.
Well, Nick, here's the other thing. I mean, you could also argue these Purgill, we kind of talked about, Cetos is either like a home world in this galaxy for them, a breeding ground. The ancient civilization that created this broken up temple that allows the route to be shown had Purgills all over the structures. So who's to say that the Purgills don't just automatically fly to that galaxy every once in a while and come back? You know what I mean? Like, she might not even have to tell them this is where we need to go. She just needs to tell them, hey, can you suck us with you? Because we need to follow you on one of your intergalactic hyper routes to this place.
Yeah, exactly. So,
all right, hey, Big Wood, I got you now. Yes, I hope we do get new canon out of this episode. I thought,
like you see.
Yes, I am 100% behind you on that for sure. I thought you were,
like if you
getting into, hey, can we spun up a new timeline and see? I just listen, that shit's not gonna happen. Like, that's Newsmax, Fox News, conspiracy, nutty, crazy stuff.
I mean, I really do hope that we do get glimpses of things that we've never seen before. I think that would be pretty cool. Like additional context into, Ahsoka during her exile. Like that's something that we have not seen a lot of, is like Ahsoka during her exile and really understanding where she was in terms of like her mental space, and then also what she was doing outside of just being fulcrum for the Rebel Alliance. Like there's a lot of stuff during that time period that we don't know, and we could definitely get glimpses into that during this journey into the world between worlds.
I still think Dave is going to kind of keep that stuff focused on Anakin and Ahsoka and their bond, not so much what she did after leaving. I'm with you. I would love to see some of that, but I think it's all going to be, hey, this is a story about you and me, kind of going through.
I guess the way that I would really like to see it is like Anakin's always been like the Jesus figure for Star Wars. Like he was always kind of that was his archetype, and that was like what he was built to be. So I'd almost like to see it like almost looked at through that lens, where it's like, in the depths of your despair while you were exiled and alone, you may not have felt me, or you may not have wanted to feel me in those moments, but I was still there. And I could still see you, and I could still feel the emotions that you were going through. You just weren't ready at that time to see me.
Yeah, dude, just like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. It's the same dynamic.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Qui-Gon essentially said, like, hey, motherfucker, I've always been here. You just weren't ready to look.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, something very similar to that dynamic between those two.
And who's to say her meeting with sane Anakin for the first time isn't all she needs to unlock white mode? Like knowing that Sky Guy is back, he's talking to me as the good version. I got through my beef over his bad version, and now I know I have him with me at all times again. How's that not going to juice her the fuck up? I mean, it'd be like taking Star Wars steroids, Force steroids. I got my man with me again. Just like how Luke always had Obi-Wan there to support in his ear, like he's fucking going insane. She's going to have that feeling of, I've got my guy. I know he's back. He's supporting me. He told me what I need to hear. Now I am the version I need to be to get this job done.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be
all right.
a perfect way to kind of explain.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings like
transition.
we might see some of the Clone Wars action that took place on Ryloth. I've heard potential Siege of Mandalore glimpses. I know for sure we're going to see her in the blue, so that makes complete sense. They don't release this in theaters for fun. This is going to be it's going to have a bigger pop, maybe 10 times bigger pop than last week. You don't just like, oh, fuck it. Hey, a bunch of people liked episode 4. No, they knew what 4 and 5 were going to do.
Like I'll tell you right now, like they didn't decide to do this
this shit takes time, bro. Like contracts have to be signed.
They were doing this from before this season was released, and probably
they knew the gem they were sitting on here.
Yeah,
I think this episode, everyone was going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs last week. Best Star Wars. I mean, people may fucking stroke out over episode 5. Like the amount of, I don't even want to say fan service. It's just it's content we need to see, because this dynamic of Skywalker's Padawan has only ever been covered in the animated franchises. It's never been brought into the live action, and this is the shit that all of us that put the time in with the Clone Wars, with Rebels, with all of Disney's Star Wars, which I've enjoyed. I don't get all upset. This is the culmination of that. This is a huge fucking moment in Star Wars. I would argue it's a massive moment for the prequel generation. This is their second coming of Christ, essentially.
Yeah, 100%. So, I'm excited. I will watch this episode before my typical watch on Tuesday.
It should be a doozy, Nick.
Sure.
We'll catch everyone up on runtimes. We got an updated graphic here on the screen right now, but episode 5 is supposed to be, it runs 49 minutes, but I've heard it's 46 minutes of pure content. So there you go. That's what we've been asking for. That would traditionally be a network TV show, hour long with commercial. You usually got 42 to 43 minutes. So we're going to get about 46 minutes of content for episode 5. And then 6 is probably going to be around 41 to 42 minutes. So the next 2 episodes of Ahsoka are real, full length TV episodes. So you are going to have some time to kind of lore, world build, provide answers, touch on some memorable moments. So that's exciting. But last thing here before we move on, a World Between Worlds explainer from Dave Filoni himself. All right, I'm going to read you the quotes. Nick and I will kind of parse it for you, and then we're going to get into, like props tease there, who from Barbie could be in Ahsoka tonight. Mm-hmm. And now that I've seen the actress, I'm like, well, Jesus, yes, that is a picture perfect cast for
having seen Barbie.
It's spot on. I mean, she looks like a Dawson. She could be a Dawson family member, like related to Rosario, therefore would play well as a younger version. But okay. So, and Nick, I pulled this off of someone off Instagram. That's why it's got yellow highlights. I think it was a Phoenix Toy Photography. So shout out there. Unlike a lot of other people, I try not to steal ideas and pass them on as my own. If I ever do speculate on something and you'd be like, hey, I said that, well, good for you. You're almost as good as me. Okay? All right, so here's what Dave has to say about the World Between Worlds, so we can kind of put some things to ease here. The World Between Worlds is not about time travel. Okay, moving on to the next segment. Do we need... Okay, we'll go a little bit deeper. It's just about a place where everything comes together and you hear different things echoing throughout the time because it's all fluid in that moment. It's not this material thing. So there, she is in like some sort of plane, okay? Some mystical plane. It's linear. Everything is occurring all the time. Everything, everywhere, all at once. I don't know how real it actually is. I don't want to define that for people anyway, but it's not this place of gateways and doorways that you just go in and out of. Now, Ezra can pull Ahsoka in that world, but remember, she's smart enough to know that she can't leave that world through his door. She'll be destroying the natural balance and order of things. She has to go back from where she came. It's not the system of doorways like you're on an elevator getting off on different floors and times. So let me break it down for you. First and foremost, first sentence, WBW is not time travel. From what I'm reading here, Nick, it is this plane. All right, think like the shit Doctor Strange gets himself mixed up in, the astral plane, if you will. It's linear, meaning the past, the future, and present all exist at the same time. You're hearing echoes from all times. To access it, if you don't want to completely crumble the universe, you have to leave and enter through the same door, meaning the same timeline. And it makes complete sense. What Dave is saying, if Ahsoka decided to stay with Ezra and left through his door, bye-bye timeline, shit's toast.
That's your butterfly effect.
The fact that he dropped her off back through the door of the exact time that she was existing in is why the timeline was able to exist without being disturbed.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I think about it is like that moment with Ahsoka and Ezra on Malachor 5, him pulling her out. That's the way it happened. That's the only way it could have happened. And it's not something that was changed. It's not something that like Ezra went back in time and changed this. That's the way that it happened, regardless of everything else that ever happened. It had to happen.
That was her. That was her fate. That was her destiny. That was always going to happen to her at that particular time.
So like the world between worlds, for lack of a better way of exists outside of time. You can see all of time happening at once. And the only thing that I can really think of that's similar to this is if you've ever seen Fringe, the TV show. Like, it's not exactly the same, but like at the end, like towards the end seasons of Fringe, like there are these watchers that kind of like pop in and out of history and like observe important moments in history.
Doesn't Marvel have a watcher? Like, isn't...
Yeah, like that's technically who Stan Lee's supposed to be. I think like when he would like be in all of the movies, he was supposed to be like one of the watchers. But yeah, it's similar to that where like they exist outside of time, but they can like see all of the events of time happening, and that's kind of how. And they don't really manipulate
it, right? Like they're
like they're. I mean, like in Fringe, it gets a little bit like they act like one of the watchers like does start to like manipulate it, and that causes like a shit ton of problems, which is basically what. Like
that's what he's saying here. So listen,
Yeah,
I'm not saying a person couldn't go to the WBW and then try to leave through a different door. He's saying that can happen. What he's also saying, if that happens, see you later. Like it literally could be the end of the world. So I know Palpatine and the Rebels, he was trying to get access to it, God knows for what. But if he started going in and out of doors that weren't his, he very may well have erased himself somehow.
That's what I was going to say. Is like what seems like what happened is like if you try to manipulate like the time stream or manipulate events that are outside of your purview within the world between worlds, you would probably be toast. Like deleted as a being.
All right. So now that we've put that out there, don't expect any shenanigans to happen tonight with time travel. I mean, the guy himself that cooked up the WBW is telling you right now, it's not about time travel. It's very purposeful. And I'm not saying doors aren't going to... I think they very well could be looking through some doors at the past.
They could look through doors. Yes,
but they're not going to go there and like talk to themselves and whisper to Anakin like, hey, don't listen to Sidious at the Opera House. Okay, they're not going to pull a Barry Allen and talk to his mom in the grocery store about tomato sauce, okay? So there we go. I'm glad that this started floating around. I actually think this is from back when he introduced it in Rebels. I don't think Dave re-released a statement. So it's nice to kind of get a check-in with really the guy that kind of cooked this shit up. And knowing Dave, more than likely, George already had this idea or Dave ran it by him and got blessed. I don't think Dave would have created this on his own. He very much respects the maker, has taken pretty much anything he does is in the vein of George Lucas. So
yeah. And that's why, like, for something like this, that's why only specific, very powerful, I guess you could say like very, like, you know, moral force users even have like know how to access it. Like, you wouldn't, like, this isn't something that like could be accessed easily or even necessarily accessed at all by anybody.
I mean, Sidious needed Ezra to do it because I believe the Lothwolves or Doom was the one that ultimately led Ezra to that thing and got it going. Because didn't Ezra's door have Lothwolves that started like circling? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So there we go, my friends. We covered 4 for you. I saw some of you were happy that I was committing to giving myself an aneurysm. I know you all like that when I get excited, but it's genuine. I remember there are some times it's like I just go like, man, if people would just listen to us, like why don't we draw in the numbers like a theory? Like he's allowed to just get wrong prediction after wrong prediction after stupid shit after stupid shit after stupid shit, and people come back and lap it up like he's giving them gold. He's spinning gold over there.
I think it's the confidence in which you say something wrong, and that's why Trump was super popular, is because like everything he said was just dumb and wrong, but he said it with such confidence.
Well, hey, I'll give it to you. I'm not like this in real life, but I typically on this show, I'm borderline. I'm not even borderline. I am cocky about my predictions. So I say them with confidence. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just like
intern hit me up. He's like on Wednesday. He's like, dude, you fucking pretty much predicted the entire episode from start to finish. Why do more people not get tuned into your show? I'm like, hey, that's a great fucking question, pal. I don't know. Like, I don't even know why I still do this. What's the point? Like, what is the fucking point? It's like, hello out there. I'm screaming into the fucking void. This is what you should be thinking about this stuff. And I have a pretty good track record now. Multiple shows, movies, you name it. And I'm not being fed this information. I'm taking what I know about Star Wars and I spin it out. So we'll see tomorrow. I laid down my predictions for 5. We'll see if they hit. But moving on to our last segment before the fan segment, Nick, we talked about run times. But here's the big one here. It's coming from Bespin Bulletin. Not his exclusive or rumor. It actually came from Reddit. Starting to think we probably could have got this one, but my news source is a bit hesitant. But it's looking like young Ahsoka, spoilers, that's going to happen tonight, is going to be played by, what is it, Ariana Greenblatt, Nick?
Yeah.
Who has just recently starred in Barbie, and she was also in Infinity War as young Gamora. We have a shot of her from Bespin Bulletin up here on the live stream if you want to check her out. But I mean, Nick, you just look at that shot, you're like, yep, yeah.
She looks so much like Rosario.
Whoever's the fucking casting director on this show, give them a raise, because it is, I guarantee with the makeup on, she's going to look fucking just like a young Rosario, like a teenage Rosario. It's as good as it gets. And
she was great in Barbie. I mean, like she played a really good. She was the daughter. Like she was America Ferrera's daughter in Barbie.
Oh, so like one of the main roles then. Well, no, really, Ferrara was kind of like the second lead. So
yeah, I mean, Ferrara was the second lead, but like she's the kid that like when Barbie goes to goes to the high school
and makes fun of her.
Like she's the one that exactly.
So I mean, as I don't know if anyone read this article, has read things about Ariana, but I mean, she's essentially been in nothing but billion-dollar movies. So you know, not a bad track record. So expect to see this lovely young lady tonight as young Ahsoka, hopefully in the maroon and the blue, like we teased last week with our exclusive. But yeah, I mean, it's a picture perfect casting. just based on this image. And I 100% think this is legit. This is who we're going to see. I just hope we get to see her in multiple versions of young Ahsoka. Like, give us the original, the, hey, Sky Guy, the, where she started, and then give us kind of where she ended in her Siege of Mandalore get up. That'll do it for me. All right, my friends, it is that time. See, we barely had any topics yet. That lovely breakdown of episode 4 and our pregame for 5 ate up a ton of time. So it is already time for the fan segment. We do it every week, the only stupid podcast to honor our fans on a regular basis. And we give you 2 avenues to be praised, starting with our question of the week. Nick, I changed the graphic up a little bit this week. We do share a lot of stuff on IG, and seems these days just text on the background ain't moving the meter. So I've tried to change some things up. Our new account is mostly dead at this point in time, which is fine. I don't have it in me to try and grow it. So we'll just keep putting out our content, and you all will keep not sharing it. And that's what we like. That's the system we appreciate. That keeps us kind of low key, low level, zero influence on the at-large Star Wars fan base. We love that. So keep it up. But question of the week here. I'm a little scattered, so let me get some screens pulled up while we wait. If we had a Fred, he could be playing some music right now. Maybe the Jeopardy theme would be a good one. That's right, there we go. We're almost there. Thanks, Nick. He's working overtime today. Look at that fucking graphic, people! I'm an Adobe Express master. Question of the week. What was your favorite or least favorite part from Ahsoka Episode 4? Fallen Jedi. Hey, Nick, who is the Fallen Jedi? Was it Darth Vader? They played his voice. He played his music.
I don't think it was him.
Stupid
I don't
assholes. Think. All right. Go ahead. Yeah, you do it. I have more fun when you read them.
Kick it off. Rippick Tan says, amazing episode with so many standout moments. I'm sticking with Ray Stevenson's performance as Baylan. What an awesome and interesting 100%. Character. Yeah.
We agree.
Yeah, he's a killer.
Holy tones.
He's a killer.
Have fun with that. You got to read the emojis too.
Oh, gosh. All right. Yeah, Tones.
It's a dissertation.
Wrote a full paragraph, multiple paragraphs here. He says, this episode was easily the best Star Wars TV ever produced, not really comparing Ahsoka to Andor as its fantasy elements versus grounded environment, and the two are vastly different. The pacing, fight choreography, cinematography, direction, sound, and music were all absolutely incredible. We need more live action ghost scenes, please.
No, we don't. I need to stop buying shit, please.
Baylan is rapidly becoming one of my favorite Star Wars characters. His screen presence is outstanding. His line, how inevitable, perfection. Such a shame Ray passed away and won't get more of his character. And we won't get more of his character.
Artificial intelligence, don't sign the deal. Don't sign the SAG-AFTRA deal.
Don't do that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this character. It's not guaranteed that he won't be around, but the assumption is that he won't be. Tones goes on to say the only slight niggle was the Marek scene and the lack of explanation on the character as a whole, but shoulder shrug.
I love that term, but I don't think that's a term Americans should throw around a lot. Okay.
It felt odd for me to say it.
Thank God you're saying it because, the too many G's next to, or after an NI.
Yeah, just very not comfortable. Anyway, the last 30 seconds, I was sat open-mouthed. The only other time that happened previously was Luke's appearance at the end of Mando Season 2, seeing Anakin and Ahsoka together in live action. Head explosion. That was probably one of my favorite scenes, or scene transitions too, with the waves turning to ripples in the world between worlds. Absolutely exceptional episode, and probably some of my favorite Star Wars content in many years. Seriously can't wait for next week's episode to see where it goes. Heart on fire again.
Can someone please do a question of the week, all emojis, so I can just hear Nick fucking translate them? I love it. I like he's like, head explode.
All right.
Hey,
so thank you,
why the fuck did they spell favorite wrong over there? They like their OU, right? They like that U.
Yes.
I know we say it wrong. They started first. It's fine. But it's like they say H and Z. The fuck is that?
Yeah. They do like the hard H.
What the fuck
sound,
is a H, man? It's H. Like, if it truly was a H, my name would be Matt Hwood.
Hwood. Yep.
Okay.
I don't know. All right. Bango31 says
trying to catch an escape
Balin was
con.
my favorite. Yeah, he's out there on the streets right now, but he's thinking about Balin Skoll. He says, "Holy shit, this guy just oozes charisma. I turned to the dark side to follow the dude." You don't have to. He's not a dark side follower.
True,
we called it here. Credit to the writing for having him change tactics on a dime for Ahsoka to Sabine. The duels were the antithesis of what the prequels gave us, a fight with real stakes. I actually gave a shit. It wasn't over choreographed. It was just good.
Yeah.
So yes, good stuff there.
That's like I said, it did feel like it's the perfect harmony between the slower fights of the OT and sequel and the snappier shit of the prequels. Great balance.
Yeah, it really was. I don't know who did the fight choreography on that particular episode, but it was aces. Next up, Pixel Rope says, "This duels were all top notch. Kudos to the stunt team. But Hu Yang as Rocky Balboa was my favorite single moment." We didn't even talk about that, but that was so fucking funny.
Right. Fuck.
Watching the two droids like literally have a fist fight. Oh man.
Yeah, you know, like Hu Yang's kind of got that Grievous shit going on too. Like he can pop out those
He's got
mini arms in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing all right for a while until he caught one to the dome a few too many times. Yeah, I mean, again, Hu Yang kicking ass, taking names, love him.
The best. Press Pause Photography says, "Focusing all my will to not pick the obvious answer, I'll say the fact that Ahsoka lost her battle with Balin. I was worried that how powerful she was in Rebels, taking on multiple Inquisitors with ease, that Filoni wouldn't let her lose in this
show. That's why you need to listen to me on Tuesday. I told you she was going to get thrown off the... Even Nick didn't believe me.
I was definitely, I was like, no way, she gets tossed off the cliff. But you have to know now, in Star Wars, whenever there's a cliff visible, somebody's falling off of it. So he says, "I'm so happy to be wrong. She gets tossed multiple times in that duel. Balin absolutely schools her emotionally and physically. It's exactly what the character needed for this story, and it makes me so excited to see her rise." Hey, Nick,
did you notice that both of them went Super Saiyan once they saw their... Well, Ahsoka thought her Padawan was dead. He saw his Padawan get tossed like a ragdoll. In each instance, they increased their power. But Balin, once she fucked with Shin, he's like, "All right, I'm going Darth Vader on you." And just like, "Hwa! Hwa! Hwaya! See ya."
Yeah, truly just like, this is another
tapped
level.
Into a little bit of that anger, for sure.
Yeah. It's like you really haven't experienced this level of power before. So here's a little taste. Going on to some more, we got Wayne LMG 2002 says, "Rey as Balin is perfect. He's portraying a conflicted villain with a clear purpose perfectly. A terrible shame, and at least we'll have these performances to admire." Mark Ali Geyer says, "Great episode, but Merrick ended up being a waste, adding nothing to the series. I still think that they're gonna eventually say that this guy was a Night Sister construct.
I like what you're saying,
or something,
and I hope they
that.
do. I do. Like, in the end, listen, Merrick having a deep backstory has no impact on the story Dave is trying to tell in this season, but it would be nice to get something more than just, it was a dude.
Yeah, like it was a guy in an armor, and then he is no longer a guy
was it an
in
Inquisitor
armor?
we knew that was resurrected? Will they just come out and say it was the 8th resurrected? I mean, sure, that'd be great, but
something, even if it is just like a minute, like a ditty, just to say like, oh yeah, this
remember,
is what
dude,
happened.
anytime we make narrative sense, just expect it not to happen.
All right, next up, Black Series Natural Light says, "Best of the bunch, great duels, less exposition, betrayal, and surprise ending. Classic cliffhanger. Cannot wait for tonight.
Gotta be a prequels fan.
Series.
Prequels fans, they're the ones like, fuck story, just give me flashy lightsabers.
Yeah, it's like fight. Bad stuff.
Who needs to set up the world or characters? Let's just fucking get to the fighting.
Exposition is important too, guys. Then he finishes says, "This is where the series should have started."
Well, it wouldn't have popped though.
That would have made
come on,
no sense. It would have made no sense if it started here. You needed the exposition to feed into what is actually going on.
Now you guys know I have mental problems with Star Wars fans, right? But we love you, Black Series Natural Light. Thanks for playing.
Thank you for your
and Natural Light is the best way to shoot Black Series. You're not wrong.
Last response here from Obi Simp Kenobi says, "My favorite part was seeing Anakin at the end." Like that. There you go.
Simp
I mean,
Kenobi.
sometimes it's as simple as that. Simple as seeing Anakin.
All right, beautiful stuff, people. Way to go.
All right. So that's the end of our question of the week. Now we're going to move into our top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved with this segment, there is one way to do it. Add tag at StarWarsTime.show.
Right.
That's where I pull all of our top
like
5.
He doesn't fuck around. Add tag or bust if you want to make top 5.
Yeah. Add tag at Star Wars Time Show to get yourself entered into the top 5 sweepstakes each week. To do that, just go ahead, add tag on your Star Wars posts on Instagram. I will see them when I am parsing through all of our tags to pick the top 5 for that week. That's the way to do it. But you can also go ahead and toss the hashtag Star Wars Time Show on there as well. That's a growing hashtag that has over 160,000 uses. So let's keep those numbers climbing up. So let's kick off this week's top 5 with Clone War 501st, and they have an awesome, just a nice like static portrait shot of our favorite girl in blue. And I'm talking about Bo-Katan Kryze in her blues and her Night Sister, or not Night Sister, Night Owl blues. Yes, the 2%ers out there. Clone Wars 501st
I want to
is
know,
probably
why is Katie Sackhoff moving back to Oregon? Can someone tell me?
I didn't know that was happening.
Come on, dude. You don't follow her on Instagram? Come on. No, I mean,
I don't use Instagram that much.
She put it like they've packed up and she went back to her home state. I'm wondering, like, is she done acting or is she just over Southern California? I don't know. It's like typically that's where she works. So I don't know. I guess you could always fly a bit more.
Oh yeah, travel back. Oregon's not that far.
Well, they're also not working anytime soon either. So
yeah, I'm about to say right now,
not like she has anything to do.
Nobody's working right now. So she's like, look, I'll get myself a nice little piece of property out there. If she has any sort of inside track on what's happening with these discussions, and I assume she does, since she's a working actor in Hollywood and she's on one of the biggest productions in Hollywood. She probably has an idea of like, hey, it's probably going to be a while.
I saw some idiot left a comment like, "We don't want you liberal California elites coming to Oregon." And she's like, "Hey, fuckhead, I literally was born and raised there. You get the fuck out of Oregon." So it's like,
what? I mean, I'm pretty sure that Oregon is a pretty liberal state to start with.
I think they have one town that has successfully seceded to Idaho. I'm not kidding. Like, they literally
Are you serious?
were able to loop themselves in, at least politically voting wise, into Idaho.
My gosh.
Oh, people are so fucking broken here. But anyways, we love this shot. We love the 2%. Clone Wars 501 ST. Get some.
That's right. Next up, Tanks 666 with an awesome duality.
This is kind of what we may get tonight. The duality of Anakin, showing Ahsoka like, look, I'm a fuckhead.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so what we see here in this shot is a kind of like back-to-back shot of Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker in the same shot here, both of them with their lightsabers ignited, the red blade for Vader and the blue blade for Anakin. And it really is kind of like showing the duality of the character that really was the genesis of Star Wars itself, even though he wasn't prominently, Anakin wasn't prominently featured in the original trilogy. He was kind of the entire, the Jesus figure that brought birth to the Skywalker saga. And we're seeing the two sides of that character here, the light side of Anakin and the dark side of Darth Vader. So yeah, like you said, Matt, we may get to see some of the darker side of Anakin Skywalker during this upcoming episode of Ahsoka.
It's another shot to just like, in the end, people, save your money, buy Hot Toys. Okay, I can tell you right now, someone that went fucking crazy on Hasbro shit, Black Series, it's not even close. Like, it is not even close, the quality of collectible you get. And I can assure you, if you're still collecting the little plastic, by the end of the year, I bet your bill is in the thousands. So it truly is no different than if you buy a few Hot Toys throughout the year too. PSA over, moving on.
Next up, Darth Ponty, Ponty.
I love that Nick picked this. It's like,
it was just, it's a funny little scene, and it's, you know, is it the heights of what toy photography could be in terms of quality? No, it's a very well posed shot, and it's funny. So what we see here is we have good old wrinkly Palpatine without his hood on, just full post electrocution wrinkled Palpatine standing next to Darth Revan, with Darth Vader on the far right side of the frame. And what we see here is Darth Revan saying, well, it's Palpatine saying, "Oh shit, it's him, play it cool," to Darth Revan. And then Revan saying, "Wrinkles here wants me to kill you," to Vader. And then Vader on his helmet has the little nervous, like the little, if you've ever seen like a kid, like a child's cartoon when a character is like upset or nervous, that little like red squiggle that comes up above their head.
I thought that was a targeting reticle. So I'm like, what is going on in this fucking shot? It makes no sense.
Like, yeah, no, it's like when they have that little nerve, like when kids in cartoons get nervous and they have that little squirt, like that little thing.
I got you now.
So Vader's just standing there with his hands like, oh no, what am I going to do? It's just a funny little scene between these three characters. I like how Revan was the one that Sidious chose to kill Vader because he surely could, I assume.
Wrinkles.
You know, but yeah, it's just funny. Wrinkles here wants me to kill you, says Revan to Vader. So fun stuff there from Darth Ponty. Next up is a shot from our good friend at
the man.
Sir Dork, Jared, our good friend, helping to promote our show. Thank you so much, Jared, for the signal boost. We always appreciate all the love that you show to us in your stories and in your posts themselves. But what we see here is our good friend Ahsoka Tano, who is obviously the star of the Ahsoka show that's currently going on now. She's listening to our show. She has the earbuds, the iPod earbuds popped out of their case. Jared has the show pulled up on his phone, and she's listening to the Star Wars Time show, as all of you should be. So take it from Ahsoka herself. Listen to the Star Wars Time show. And thank you again, Jared, for this excellent promotion.
Yeah, hey, listen,
of our little show here.
And I kind of put out a little reaction video to it, thanking him and that, but I want to double down on the show. Like this just goes to show the quality of individual that Sir Dork, aka Jared Middleton, is. He didn't have to do this. He's one of the bigger accounts that follows us. What the fuck? He doesn't owe us shit. But this guy, from day one, the moment we grabbed one of his picks, has kind of looped into us, stuck with us, promotes us when he can, does shit like this, works with us on our D&D project, never says no, has guest hosted with me, did an interview with us, and now he does something like this. And I was like, Jared, this is one of your lowest engagement shots. Never do this again. You do not want the Star Wars Time show, aka Matt, on social media curse. Like, we literally are cancer. We are a black cloud. So we still appreciate him taking one for the team, killing his engagement, and possibly killing his account by featuring our logo in one of his shots.
Yeah. But good stuff. Thank you so much, Jared. We appreciate all of the work that you've done with us, for us, to help us build our profile and this show. So thank you, sir. And the last one here, and Matt, you're gonna have to pop this one open.
At first, I was like, man, Nick must have been drinking last night because he only picked fucking 4 of these, and I actually went and picked one, and then I realized, the link didn't resonate.
Yeah, so like I'm not sure, and I know that Snaps listens to the show. So this is from Action Figure Snaps SNAPZ on Instagram. I don't know if he has like a setting on his Instagram profile that doesn't allow for his shots to be embedded, but that was the issue here, is that the link just wouldn't embed. But it's such a good shot that I was like, it has to be shown to the masses.
I mean, knowing us, he probably hates us at this point in time and has blocked the account.
Has blocked us from it. But what we have here from Action Figure Snaps is an awesome shot of Darth Malgus, the main villain of the SWTS online video game, the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO. Darth Malgus is making his way through looks like through some sort of Republic vessel at the time, and has cut down many Jedi in his wake.
3. You
can see two robed Jedi down in front of him, and then another, as you said, Matt, slumped over in the back. He's dragging his red blade across the floor, the metal grate floor
of the ship. Love that little
ship.
effect he put in there, like the melting metal.
The melting metal. And Malgus, for those of you who aren't familiar with him, is just such a fucking awesome character. And the design of Malgus is what makes him even more cool. It's like it's crazy for me to say this, but it's like a crazier looking Darth Vader. He has the respirator, but half of his face is still showing. He doesn't wear a full helmet. A largely mechanical upper body, and just like fully armored. Just this like almost looking like a heavy armored Sith tank.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say this. I don't think I'm going to say it. But he does almost look as cool, if not cooler, than Darth Vader. And that hurts my fucking heart to say.
I know. It's like you are the biggest Vader homer that I know.
He is my guy. And I for some reason, I can't get the browser to scroll down enough so you guys can actually see his fucking shot on the stream. I apologize. But it's shots like this. I've seen other people do them. And this is a Black Series figure. I think if I found them in the wild, I'd have to buy, even though I haven't bought any in like a year and a half, but he just looks so great. But yeah, man, it's like he's kind of like a less armored Vader, right? But shares elements. Like he's got the white bald head and he's kind of got the breather mask on, but he doesn't need the full helmet to cover his whole visage. It's just... I don't want to. I can't keep speaking it out loud. It does make me feel funny, but damn, Malgus looks fucking cool as shit. He really does look like a badass. I mean, he looks like he could give Vader a run for his money.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's such a, and like you can, if you don't want to watch or play Star Wars: The Old Republic, just go on YouTube, look up the Star Wars: The Old Republic cinematic trailers. The cutscenes from the game that include Malgus are some of the best that you'll see. And it really, like, back when this game first released, I've logged hundreds, if not close to 500, 600 hours of this game easily, maybe even more than that. And what really drew me into it, and what really drew me into being, when I first started playing, a dark side only player, was the character of Malgus. And
Nick, is he taller than Anakin or Vader? I guess.
It's hard to say, but he is like 7. I think he's probably 7 feet tall.
He is. Yeah.
He's very large. He's a hulking figure for sure.
So I guess the question is, you used to do battles between Force users and whatnot. Would he compete against the Chosen One, or Vader still has more juice?
It's always so hard to like compare, like, especially old Republic Sith to like more modern
because they're like pure Sith, right? I mean, they're like as Sith as it gets.
Exactly, and like they're like back then, just like I don't know.
Are they even more evil? Like you say, are they even more fucked up than, because Palpatine, like for the most part, he didn't show any of like his fucked up side. He was very put together, organized, and stuck to his plan. Where I'm assuming these guys were as bad as it gets. Like, they live to be bad.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like these are the Sith that would drain the planets for like entire planets for power. I mean, they were truly just like, when you hear Palpatine yell unlimited power, what he is referring to is like the old Republic Sith that were just juiced up as possible. And like, so I mean, I think that he could give Vader a run for his money, because it just felt like in the old Republic, the Force itself was just more potent, and it just felt more powerful. And I don't know if it's only because like we've only ever seen the old Republic displayed through video games, and they always jack shit up to 1,000 in video games to make you feel more powerful. But man, Malgus was a force to be reckoned with.
If you think about it, what fuels a dark side user's power? It's hate, anger, all that shit, fear. So if you're telling me like these people, that's all they fucked with was hate, anger, and fear, then yeah, they were probably juiced to the gills at all times. I mean, the one could suck a world dry.
Yeah, Darth Nihilus could literally on his own drain the life force from an entire planet.
So yeah, I don't know, man. Mr. More Machine Than Man probably would have himself a tight little match with this guy. And like that, I hate comparing the two because I'm such a homer for Vader. But all these fucking shots of this Malgus figure, like, man, he really is probably the second baddest ass looking motherfucker. And that used to be Darth Maul for me, but Malgus might be up there now.
Yeah, he's climbing up. I recommend everybody to go watch some of those.
I remember that, man. And there are people, Nick, that have made movies from those, right? Where they essentially stitch them all from the game together, and you got like 20 hours of content to watch or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's fantastic stuff.
I should do that one of these nights instead of putting on some of the dumb shit I watch before I go to bed. I mean, I watch some of the dumbest shit before I go to bed.
And there's like. And I'm pretty behind on the game now because I haven't subbed for a while. So there's content out there that I still haven't played, and I'm sure that there are new cinematics that would get me juiced. And I know that like I think that Lucasfilm or the intention is like SWTOR is changing developers. So like SWTOR is being given to a different developer that isn't BioWare anymore, because since its release, it's been under the development and stewardship of BioWare, but now it's being given to a different developer who I feel like is going to give the game more attention than it's been given recently. You
typically don't switch developers on a game that old with the intent of killing it. You want new life breathed into it almost.
Yeah, and it, like I had heard something even like a couple years ago that like the intention with this game is to try to like almost revitalize it in a way. So I may find myself diving back into the world of Star Wars: The Old Republic in the near future, just because of, you know, the new content that I haven't played, and then also this handoff to the new developer could mean a second life for the game, which is exciting because it really is a content. It's like a content well out there for those of you who are interested in new or Old Republic lore.
It's not canon. We do know out of the 9 eras, the Old Republic it's etched in stone at this point in time at Lucasfilm. So exactly. There's nothing listed under it, but the Old Republic is there. So there is a chance. There is a chance. All right, excellent.
You're telling me there's a chance.
Excellent stuff. Okay.
That's the end of the top 5 for this week, and that's the end of our show. Thank you all for tuning in, and enjoy the AHSOKA episode
I know.
tonight.
Look at this. We're hour and 20 away if you're on the East Coast. Well, really, wherever you're at, you're an hour and 20 away, which is exciting. I really dig this. I hope they stick with this new type of schedule, even though we're not going to get a new Star Wars show probably, sadly, if this strike keeps drawing out until late 24, if not early 25. So we're going to have to get pretty creative after the AHSOKA series and throughout the next year as we try to spin new episodes of the Star Wars Time Star Wars Time Show for you on a weekly basis. Because, Nick, I think it's time to put 277 to bed, right? Okay.
Indeed.
Let's do that. It's always been fun, my friends. Thanks to all of you that just got in here. Even Rick coming in just at the end. Don't worry, Rick. You can always watch the replay or catch it on the podcast on Wednesdays when we drop this shit show on those platforms. If you are new here, hey, how did you stumble upon this clusterfuck? We would love to know, because maybe we can get some more people and trick them into spending or wasting some of their time with us on this Tuesday evening. But like I said, if you are new, hopefully you enjoyed what you listened to, what you saw. That's pretty much the Star Wars time show for you. We are the best. I am the most awesome. Nick is second most awesome. So come be awesome with us. And the best way to do that, StarWarsTime.net. Check it out. You can find all of our Jump To links. You can sub to the podcast platforms. All we ask that if you do, please leave a rating and review. If you're watching this right now, let's start clicking those likes. And more importantly, leave comments. I dare you to leave a shitty comment, because that stuff could juice someone else to start shitting on us, which could start more comments, which could juice the algo and take us to the next level. Because in the end, toxicity is key to success in the Star Wars fandom. The more toxic we are and our fans are, the more toxic comments we get, the more the AI algorithms are going to love us and promote us, and the more people will come and catch the gospel of the SWTS. I'm not messing around. I schooled you all today. This is where you come to get speculations for new Star Wars. This is where you come to share your ideas so we can tell you that they're stupid. We will not lead you astray. We will not blow smoke up your ass. We will take you to the promised land of Star Wars speculations. We will clarify the unclarifiable. All right? And you know why? Because there's always time for Star Wars time. There's always time. Think about that. All you motherfuckers that get so upset about Star Wars, are you a fan? Because to me, there's always time for Star Wars time. All right, everyone. We love you. We don't hate you. At least not right now. Do what you got to do. I'll see those of you that get down with Ahsoka tonight in Discord. I've been enjoying at least dropping my thoughts and seeing what you all cook up overnight. Let's have some fun in there. You know, it's like 60 of you now. Let's start using it for something more than just, hey, we'll drop this, we'll drop that. This is probably going to be an episode where our heads are all going to be mushy and we're all going to be asking questions and we're all going to be thinking things. Just remember, I will make sure you're thinking the right things. And that's all that matters. All right, my friends. You know what we like to do about this time. And that's to remind you to be a good fan, share away, juice the algos, and don't forget, if you do listen to our humble little show, that the Force will be with you always.